And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, if you could tell, the setup for today's video might be a little bit different. I'm going to test some things around with OBS. Hopefully, we could do something fun today. So, I decided to make a video, and I want to just do something fun. I want to do an AMA, an Ask Me Anything. And the truth is I didn't put out a community post. I was super late to the party, so I didn't have anything to put for the Pokemon AMA. So honestly, there was somebody out there who already did that. If you guys are familiar with Twice Baked Jake, he has a great channel. His channel is a little bit more introductory, but he makes a lot of shorter videos, but it's good content. He's an all-around entertaining watch. The link for his channel is down in the description below. I'm sure all you guys are already subscribed to him. But with that said, I'm just going to answer Twice Baked Jake's AMA. He did make a video where he answered some of his questions that were in his community post, but that video was only 15 minutes long, and there was 235 comments in his AMA. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna answer his. It might be super awkward, but I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. It's gonna be fun. If anybody has a problem with it, so be it. I think it's just interesting because, the channels that are asked on my channel are very different than his. So I'm always curious, how I would answer, those questions. And the truth is when he had 235 comments on one of his community posts asking questions, I can never get that many. I barely have that many subscribers, let alone to get that many comments on an AMA. So we're just gonna answer his. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, screw it. Let's try it out. All right, so real quick, we just have to give. This is again Twice Baked Jake's AMA. He did make a video. He did answer some of these questions. There was 235 comments. There was no way he was able to answer all those in a 15-minute video. So I'm just going to plow through these, and I want to see how many of his AMA questions I could answer. And we're just going to go right down the line. We're going to answer all 235 of them, or until I get so tired that I don't even want to, I don't know, read it anymore. But I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat. I see we got Gump Brave, we got Fat Belly Gengar. Appreciate you guys. See we got Catch 'em All Collectibles. Let's see. Catch 'em All Collectible said refresh and just add one. Does that mean that the video? So this is the first time I'm playing around with it. It looks good on my end. All right. Dan, Catch 'em All Collectibles. If there's anything wrong with my screen right now, let me know. But we're just burning through these AMAs right now. All right. Sorry for the slow start. He said, how do you fight? So the first question in Jake's AMA was, how do you fight overspending because of FOMO? Is the key to just budget really well in advance? New products are always popping up and hard to make a decision on what to buy when you know some. Yeah, man. The truth is how do you fight overspending because of FOMO? FOMOs could be tough, especially, when it comes to the new shiny stuff. The only way you could fight FOMO is you have to just understand all sets after release are going to go down in price, especially when you're looking at cards. Cards at release are going to be the most expensive. Those cards will probably be in a very long time. So if you want to start being a binder collector, start picking up raw cards, you got to be looking 2-3 years timeline out. I know that's really hard for a lot of people. I look at somebody like Pokegal. Pokegal has one of the most comprehensive collections in this entire hobby. She has every single set completed up to Vivid Voltage. But that's the thing. She's still at Vivid Voltage. There was a lot of sets released after Vivid Voltage, but not that big of a timeline when you think about the entire history of the hobby. And she just goes really slow pace, and she waits a couple years for cards to get old. So that's all you got to do. I love that these questions are addressed to Jake, and it says, hey, Jake, I find myself getting caught up in all the new releases and promos and want to collect everything, but I'm a collector on a budget, and I find myself buying a bunch of products I want, but not having any specific parts of my collection built up to something I'm actually proud of. How do you narrow down specific things to collect as there's so many great products out there? This is something I've actually talked about in my other videos in the past. And I phrase it a little bit differently. I call it just like collection identity. And there's a lot of people out there, their collections either get so massive, or they're trying to get too many little things, and their collection loses all sort of identity. And all I found that works for me is sometimes you got to sell some stuff off. Sell off the stuff you don't really have like a ton of passion to it, or maybe not such a meaningful piece of your collection. Free up money to buy stuff that you do think is more meaningful, or things that you do think is a better investment or collectability asset. It's hard to do, but it happens to everybody. Everybody kind of just starts to lose a little bit of that collection identity. Tokyo Sour said, what's your opinion on opening booster boxes versus just buying singles you want from the set from a financial responsibility standpoint? He loves opening packs. There is a level of fun to it, but I also know sometimes. So I think he already knows the answer to that question. The opinion is, if you're trying the complete sets, booster boxes is never the way to go. Yeah, sure. It is fun to open up a booster box, maybe one, maybe two. But, if you're asking people's opinions from a financially responsible standpoint, you know the answer to that. The answer, financially responsible, is never to open up product. It's always just to buy the singles. And again, it's not to buy the singles right at release. And I know that is really hard for some people to do. A wise man said, hey, Jake, I love that everything's addressed to Jake. I'll probably laugh every time. He said, would love to know what you think is a must-have Japanese promos are from the Sword and Shield era. Ooh, there's a lot of good Pikachu promos from the Japanese Sword and Shield era. I would say I don't really have a great answer for that. So just say you have to go on eBay, type in Japanese, promos, search Sword and Shield, and just really figure out the ones you like most. Because I feel like this question is must have Japanese Pikachu promos. Maybe he's asking this in more the financial aspect, which cards does he think are going to go up the highest in value. But anytime you ask somebody the must have Japanese Pikachu promos, the must have are only going to be the ones that you care about more than anybody else. I think about what's I guess it's not a Pikachu promo, but the new Pichu promo that came out, that's a very beautiful card. It's very cheap right now. I think it's selling for $5 right now. Anytime you could pick up Japanese promos for $5, that's a good buy. I think back on the Kanazawa Pikachu, when those were selling between $5 and $10, and we saw them hit a high of around 35 to 40, and now they've dropped back down. I'm sure you could probably pick them up around that 15, 20, but the problem is those Japanese promos are just so mass produced. It's just we ran into this real weird timeline. Or rewind a little bit further than that, go out of Sword and Shield, and then go right to the very end of XY and go to the 20th anniversaries, and then obviously 20th anniversary Japanese Reds Pikachu. That's one of the most iconic Pikachu artworks of XY, and it came at the end of XY. It was that 20th anniversary promo, and anytime you have Red, anytime you have Pikachu on the same card, it always just smacks every single time. Somebody said, would you be willing to do a video on how to prepare to send your cards to PSA, how to package and how to determine condition of cards, stuff like that? There's a million different videos on YouTube right now. All you got to do is type into your YouTube search bar, type in how to submit to PSA. I know Rusty TCA Gaming has a bunch of videos. I want to say when it comes to shipping and packing, as recently as today, the Green Shiz Collectibles just made a video on the cheapest way to ship packages, whether you're going bubble mailer or if you're going flat rate boxes, how to ship with online and stuff like that. So there's videos out there. You don't need to wait for somebody to make a how to submit to PSA video. They exist. Just do the simple search. Sometimes people just have to pull out of their little bubble and expand, realize there's a lot of people out there making content on YouTube. he said, "Hey Jake, not a question." Oh, he's a channel lover. Uh, the W said, "Do you think the community will ever get to a point where most people buy singles and you can get similar value from opening due to supply and demand?" That's just not the way it works. Like, you're never going to get to a point where when you open packs, it's just an equal value, because anytime you have that is people will just eventually like cannibalize product if there is money to be made. And especially if like a product has a very even like break even point, then you're going to see people open up even more. So what usually is going to happen over time is sealed product needs to be more expensive than the singles. We've definitely seen examples in this hobby where, you know, as the sealed product price gets way too close to the raw price of cards, then people start opening up. I know Dan Catchmall Collectibles in this chat, he's talked about it in the past. For a small window of time, you know, Jungle first edition boxes had almost a positive EV. So EV for anybody out there is just expected value. There are a couple products that like hit those like price areas where the cost to open it is very similar to the, you know, pack or the price of the sealed product, but the market always adjusts to stuff like that. That is not something that will ever be a permanent thing. It just doesn't make sense. uh Somebody said, thoughts on Crown Zenith ETBs, regular retail, or is it worth spending the extra to get the Pokemon Center exclusive? It's only worth it to, you know, buy the Pokemon Center exclusives, in my opinion, is you're keeping that as a sealed product play. As for just regular Crown Zenith ETBs, regular retail, that's not really a product you want to just pay regular MSRP. I think the cheapest, you know, we've seen Crown Zenith ETBs relatively recently is $35. Now, $35 sold out quickly, but if you want like, you know, much cheaper than MSRP prices, you have to start following some Twitter accounts. Like the best Twitter account I could recommend is Pokemon TCG Drops on Twitter. Anytime there's a good deal, anytime we see, you know, like fire sale products, he's posting that stuff. He's the one that posted the $35 Crown Zenith ETBs. Like, so there was a time in this hobby where paying, you know, MSRP was like a good price, but that was a couple years ago. Rewind a little bit before that, MSRP was overpaying for product, and we're getting back to how Pokemon used to be, where you wouldn't want to pick up stuff at MSRP. We're in this weird timeline of 2020, 2021, where people were picking up MSRP because it was really the cheapest that they could find. But we're moving out of that. You don't want to spend MSRP. You definitely don't want to be spending like Walmart MSRP, where now they're like $5 over on booster boxes. And the fact is we as a hobby, we're going to move to like, with inflation and everything coming, Pokemon has made public releases, statements saying MSRP for all products is going up in the very near future, at least when we talk about, you know, Scarlet and Violet. You know, for right now, like a sleeve blister is $3.99. I think Pokemon Company said they're going to increase the price to like $4.49 MSRP. So that is going to have a trickle down effect big time. And when you go back far enough, you know, a lot of people are getting their booster boxes from distribution right now between $82.50 and like $86, depending on who their distributors are. Some people, if you have massive stores, you know, you could potentially crack right below that $70 point. But it's going to go across the board. Even those guys are going to be paying more from distribution. And then rewind even far enough, then you start going back to like the days of $69 booster boxes. But that goes back really far when you start, well, really far is, you know, subjective, but you're talking greater than 10 years ago when booster boxes at MSRP were 69. And then rewind even further than that and go back to like 2004 timeline, and you could pick up base set Jungle fossil boxes from distribution for $40. Now, that is not $40 MSRP. That's $40 because distribution's trying to move that product. So, very recently, shout out Dan Catchmall Collectibles. He used the Internet Wayback Machine. He was able to pull up Hills Wholesale Gaming. I want to say it was 2003 or 2004. He pulled up their website, what their prices were, and that's what it was. It was like $40 for a base set booster box, or maybe it was like 2002. But either way, it was around that timeline. So Ian Child says, do you think unique cards like Amazing Rares or Radiant Pokemon will become heavily sought after items 10 plus years from now? No, they're not. They're not going to be heavily sought after. They're just going to become very abundant. They will still have like this weird niche. People still know what they are. I think when in the future, when we look back at Amazing Rares and we look back at Radiant cards, sadly, it's going to be very similar to the way people look at Prism cards right now, or the way people look at like, yeah, I'd say like Prism cards would probably be a good example of like cards that, yeah, they're cool. There's only a couple in a set, but people don't really love them. So, or you know what? A better example would be break cards, I think. I think maybe Amazing Rares and Radiant cards will be looked at more the way we look at, break cards. Because keep in mind, there was a while where every single break card was selling for like 99 cents. And now we have moved out of that, luckily. Like, I'm sure like the Lugia break card and stuff are, a little bit more than 99 cents. But there was a while where you can just pick up pretty much every single one for $1. And right now, for at least Amazing Rare stuff like that, we're in that timeline where everything is $1. Now, do I think eventually people, start valuing Amazing Rares and Radiant cards a little bit more? Yeah, definitely. And then there will be your outliers. Like I think Radiant Charizards and stuff like that will hold a little bit of a premium, but little bit of a premium is super subjective. I'm talking like sub $10 price range, but still what I would consider a premium for such a mass-produced card like that. So to answer his question, it will not be heavily sought after. It will be looked at the same way people look at break cards or prism cards. So SMPL asked Mr. Twice Baked Jake, he asked, why don't you take larger sealed product positions in products you believe in? Is it because you like collecting and grading the single cards more? Curious as how you feel about, I guess he's asking about your collection. So for a lot of people, why do you not take larger positions in sealed product? Like I talked about this in my most recent live. I think a lot of it is just that, if you spend a lot of money in sealed product, that money is going to be stagnant for you for a little while, 1 to 2 year timeline. And there's going to be a lot of that opportunity cost lost in product like that. But then this is that weird thing too. So very recently we have, who was it? It was Rudy from Alpha Investments made a video showing just his wall of booster box in the background. There becomes a time where the opportunity cost for him, he can't grind singles. It doesn't make sense for him because the time that's going to take for him to do like individual cards isn't worth it. But the difference is he's moving so much product. Like the amount of inventory he's moving around, he said he got 3,000 booster boxes of Chill and Rain. 3,000 booster boxes is a ton. That is so much product that it doesn't even make sense for him to even do that. So for him, opportunity cost is in sealed product, but one of the things I talk about is sealed product takes up a lot of room. Rudy, keep in mind, this man has an entire warehouse full of sealed product. There's not a lot of people watching this chat right now can, put the money aside to pay rent for a giant warehouse or to even acquire thousands of booster boxes. So I think that's what a lot of people's problem is with sealed product right now is, one, it's going to take up a lot of space, especially when you start to accumulate a lot of stuff, and especially depending on the product. If you're a sealed product collector and you only buy like ETBs, you don't buy booster boxes and stuff like that, it starts to add up quickly, especially when you think about how many sets there are. There's 12 sets of Sword and Shield alone. That's not even talking Sun and Moon. And then when you add a booster box, an ETB of each of those, it starts to add up. And the question is, taking positions in product you believe to kind of be investable. And if you're investing in booster boxes, you can't just kind of own one, because if you're only buying one booster box thinking you're an investor, you're kind of just, I don't know. You're not really an investor at that point. If you're only owning one, you sound too much like a collector at that point. So Don J. Dude said, another question. When it comes to grading, there are a few cards I want to grade because they're sentimental to him. Do you think grading them is necessary? They're in decent condition. So if you have cards that are sentimental to you, and you want them graded, do it. But if you have cards that are sentimental to you and you don't care if they're in a slab, don't do it. It's really at the end. It sounds like he wants to grade them. The only reason like I want to grade cards, for the most part, is because one, I like graded cards for my personal collection because I am a condition rarity type collector. But number two, in the future, if I ever do decide to liquidate that card, it is much easier to liquidate a card that is graded, because usually for graded cards, price points are, you know, way more like established. Like when you look at PSA 10 prices, PSA 9 cards of most cards, you can find pretty comparable sales, in 10s or 9s, and there's a market price for that card. Where raw cards, you can really have price swings be relatively drastic, because at that point, you have a lot of people then guessing on the condition of that card, so. Lee Briggs said, "Hey Jake, I've asked this question before. Last time it was a Marty Milk carton. Now it's now that Sword and Shield is coming to an end. What is your favorite product that came out during the Sword and Shield block?" There's a lot of good products that came out in the Sword and Shield block. Celebrations as a whole was just a great set, and then obviously the best product in Celebrations was the Celebrations UPC. Yeah, it was hard to get, but was it 17, 18 celebration packs in there? You get the metal Charizard, the metal Pikachu, then you get the gold Pikachu, the gold Pokeball. You get all. That's probably the best set. But then, if that's definitely more the expensive one, and then yeah, Charizard UPC is pretty awesome. But maybe go back a little bit, and then what maybe a little cheaper products, but still awesome artwork. Your Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon, VMAX premium collection boxes were nice. And then even go back a little bit cheaper than that, like even the Arceus figure collection box was pretty sweet. Came with Cosmic Eclipse pack in it, came with the Arceus figure. But I would probably go with the Celebrations UPC, and then like, the Evolutions, Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon premium collection box. That would be like, when I think of Sword and Shield, as some of the best products. Neil said, great shows. Boy, and I really like full art trainers with so many different packs. Is it best to go for trainer boxes or something else, or does it make any difference? When he says trainer boxes, I'm guessing he's talking about elite trainer boxes. But if you're going the pack opening route, because I think that's what this question is asking, elite trainer boxes are not the route you want to go for opening packs. If you are a pack opener and you're going to open a ton of packs, probably the route you want to go is booster boxes, because booster boxes is going to give you your cheapest price point per pack. Yes, there is always outliers, especially very recently with like Black Friday deals, fire sale and stuff like that, where eventually you might be able to pick up packs a little bit cheaper. But just for a baseline broad answer, booster boxes are going to be your cheapest way to get packs. At $100 per booster box at 36 packs, it works out to be like $2.77 a pack, and that's assuming you're paying $100 a booster box. You're not getting a little bit cheaper at say 95 or 90. So that would be my recommendation. If your goal is to open packs, don't be opening up ETBs. Or you said trainer box, I'm guessing you mean elite trainer boxes. Tristan Dudley said, "Heyo, I quite enjoy collecting Japanese full art characters in PSA 10. In your opinion, do you think cards such as a Lily Full Force from Dreamland will continue the rise in value in the coming years?" Well, you pick one of the most expensive full art trainer cards, and is a Lily Full Force going to keep going up in price? That's a card that's going to be super dependent on the Japanese market. I wouldn't be surprised if prices for a card like that still continue to trend up. Are you going to see like that crazy price, spike that we did see? No, probably not. And, one of the reasons that Lily Full Force might do okay is that, Dream League's not going to get reprinted. So it's tough. Like that's a card that is heavily like spec'd on right now. But there's a lot of buy prices from a lot of these Japanese stores right now, and Japanese collectors just love their waifus. They love them. So the only problem is a card like that, if you really like it, why didn't you already like acquire that card before when prices were cheaper? I feel like a lot of people ask questions on modern cards because prices are expensive on them, and they kind of want to like, jump on that rocket as it's going up, when it's easier to just be there at the ground floor before that rocket starts to explode. So Jonathan Adams said, I only recently started getting back into Pokemon cards. At what point should I consider sending cards to grade? And is PSA the best option for grading Pokemon cards? PSA is the best option for grading Pokemon cards if you want the highest realized value for your cards. If you like different slabs, if you don't have any plans on selling them, I don't care what grading card company you use. But if you are going to sell your cards, PSA is the way to go. But more importantly, not only is PSA the way to go if you're going to sell cards, but if you plan to sell those cards in the future, PSA is probably going to be your best bet. Now, he said, at what point should he consider sending cards to grade? Yesterday. My answer to you is yesterday. Because even though you're newer to Pokemon, I'm sure you have a couple cards, or at least have 10 to 15 cards you could send at bulk grading. PSA special right now is open. $15 a card. They opened up the $15 PSA special on December 1st. Take your 10 cards, take your 15 cards, send them away. Just get familiar with the grading skills. 10 cards, that's $150. If $150 is make or break for you in this hobby right now, then that changes my answer for you. Do not grade cards. Because if $150 is too much for you, you shouldn't be grading cards anyways. You probably shouldn't be opening card packs either if you can't afford $150. But that $150 is going to be a great learning curve for you. Hopefully you do get a lot of 10s. But honestly, I hope you at least get 1-9 and maybe 1-8, because then you could start to really look at your cards a little bit more and examine them and figure out, why was that 9 not a 10? Why was that 8 not a 9? Why was that 8 not a 10? Was there something obvious you missed? And then will you learn from that in the future? So hopefully someday you get to the point in your collecting journey where now you have some super expensive cards, and now you're going to start sending them away at $100 per card graded. When you get to that point and you're starting to send cards away at the $100 tier with, prices up to $10,000 per card, because that's what the $100 really is, or cards that you want to do that quick, crazy flip play, your pre-grading better be amazing if you're going to start to play that game at the $100 tier. So to pay $15, it's worth it. It's a good learning for you. So Hoenn Champ said, do you think that top Sword and Shield sets like Evolving Skies and Crown Zenith, or top Sun and Moon sets like Hidden Fates and Team Up are better to invest in? That's all about price points, right? Team Up's a great set. Team Up's cracking, getting pretty close to $1,000. Hidden Fates ETBs are $150. Crown Zenith right now, I just told you, we saw some pre-orders at $35. Yeah, Evolving Skies is creeping up to like $250 to $300, but Evolving Skies is not a new set. There were so many opportunities to buy Evolving Skies before today. And if you've been watching this channel, if you've been watching other channels, if you're just watching YouTube content in general, you're probably pretty familiar with the market. You were very aware of Evolving Skies. So better investment for me would be, those price points for Evolving Skies, if you're able to get in between like $95 and $130. Crown Zenith, if you could get in between like $35 and $45, opposed to if you're going to start getting into Team Up at $1,000 or Hidden Fates at $150. If you asked me, I would have told you good price points for, Team Up was, between $95 and $120. Hidden Fates, a good price point, was probably like $50, right? That MSRP price, because Hidden Fates is always a tough product to get. So that's how I look at there's just some products that if you miss the boat, I just say you kind of have to let it go. Like, move on. I'm sorry if you don't have a Team Up booster box. Can Team Up, I would say like an Evolving Skies box or any booster box in general. If you said any booster box, it doesn't matter. Even the crappiest ones, like a Brilliant Stars, or not a Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars is not crappy. A crappy one like Battle Styles or Chill and Rain. If you ask me my opinion, what do I think is more likely? For Chill and Rain to go from 100 to 200, so that's, double, or do I think it's more likely for Team Up to go from 1,000 to 2,000? I would say in the very short timeline, I'd say it would be much easier for that Chill and Rain booster box to go from 100 to 200 than a Team Up from 1,000 to 2,000. So that's where I kind of fall with stuff like that. But rewind team up Hidden Fates all day. Hidden Fates really being such a great set. I'm super biased too, like big Gen 1 guy. Hidden Fates is one of the best sets Pokemon has ever produced. The only problem is when you talk about stuff like that, you gotta be talking sealed product, because Hidden Fates got opened up to all hell. Every single card out there got graded. So, uh, so, let's see. I'm gonna hop over real quick and see if there's any. See what Cheval said. He says there are more Hidden Fates ETBs for sale on local market than there are Rebel, Clash, or Sword and Shield base. Pack breakers need to step it up. That's pretty interesting. I don't know if that's a question of supply though, Chevals, or if that's just a question of how much money is it to be made, stuff like that. Dreadful said, simple question. Do you think the Japanese Pikachu Scarlet and Violet promo is worth the price it is currently going for on eBay? I'd say he's going for like $15 to $20 right now. I picked up some. That's all I got to say about that. Do I think that that is maybe a nice price point if you grade that card? You know, when I look at like Japanese promos, I'm looking at buying those cards in bulk, especially if I think that there's money to be made in tens. And right now, on this small window of time, I think there will be a lot of money to be made for those cards in tens. You know, picking them up for 15 to 20, grading them for 15, that puts you in for 35. With eBay fees, shipping, your break even on a 10 is $50. I don't mind when my break even point on a super hyped, you know, super popular, super high in demand promo like that, Pikachu from Scarlet and Violet. So when my break even on a 10 is $50, I feel pretty good. Now, Japanese, and then this where you go into the conversation of Japanese promos versus English promos. English promos, probably more likely going to have to start looking at where 9s are your break even points and not 10s. And even for like Japanese cards, when 50 is your break even point, like that's a nice thing too. Let's see. Ethan said, since we're about to start a new era of Pokemon cards, should he focus on collecting sealed or singles for the base set of Scarlet and Violet? The base set for Sword and Shield booster packs are worth more than most of the singles. Do you think this trend will stay the same, or is it just something we should be cautious about when buying base sets of a new era? If you want to complete master sets, singles are going to be your route. That's simple. Like, the math is there. Single route, if you want to complete a set, the cheapest way to do that is picking up singles. It is not opening packs. I don't know why people keep asking this. Don't get me wrong. If you want to open a couple packs for fun, do it. But if that's going to be your sole route, where you're only going to complete master sets by opening packs, yeah, it's going to be a brutal, very expensive, you know, and you're going to lose money. And especially the fact that you're asking that question doesn't mean that you have all the channels out there to like sell your bulk, to sell your duplicates for, you know, top dollar, stuff like that. So if you don't have all these extra channels, like in a way, some sets, some booster boxes you can crack open and you could cannibalize all those products out there. You know, code cards, commons, uncommons, playable trainers, you know, your Vs, your bulk Vs. And then obviously if you hit the big ones like your alternative art, stuff like that, then yeah, maybe you'll make some money. But you have to have like that ability to sell products. So Joe said he was wondering if you should collect/invest in sealed products or single graded cards. It depends what you want to do. Depends how active you want to be in this hobby. If you're really enjoying it and you want to like learn that turn and burn, you want to start learning about older sets. The best way to learn about sets is like singles graded cards, especially binder collections. Some of the ways I've learned about more cards than not is picking up binder collections, going through them and seeing cards that I don't recognize or cards that I'm not sure where they're from. And it kind of forces you to learn about that card, to learn about the set. How was this card released? What set was it in? Oh, okay, like this card is super rare, or no, this card is super abundant. I did one simple search on eBay and TCG Player and I saw hundreds of listings for this card. This card is not rare. So that is one way to be like super actively engaged in this hobby, and it just depends on what you are. If you're a seal collector and you're a little bit more passive and you just want to put stuff away in the closet, like you can also do that. Just keep in mind with the time you put in, hopefully you're seeing like exponential increases in the value you're pulling out. So And yeah, sealed product is probably, I mean, you could always be super engaged with, learning cards, learning sets and stuff like that. But if you are going to do that, then you might just want to, if you're already going to spend that much time, you might want to go the single graded route. And then that big thing there is getting super familiar with condition. Daniel said, do you think current alt arts like Lugia and the Garantina will continue the rise in price, or will the price become more stagnant once new sets arrive and the market for them cools down? It's tough to say. You look at a card like Umbreon from Evolving Skies, super expensive, and PSA 10 it was selling for greater than $500. Greater than $1,500, and now that price has decreased to like $800 in a 10. So that card has lost close to 50% of its market cap in a 10 in the matter of like a little over a month's timeline. Like that's pretty drastic for a card like that. But the question will always be, what is the bottom for a card like that? Same thing with like the Lugia and the Garantina. While those cards are on a single person basis, those cards are going to be extremely hard to pull. But on the grand scheme of Pokemon, there will be a lot of those cards are eventually pulled. We could be talking about a card like that could be in the tens of thousands of cards, especially when it comes to raw cards. So in the future, yeah, it's very possible that a card like that lowers in value. And there's very few examples in the history of this hobby where that's not really true. There are definitely the outliers, the cards that, just had this continued upward price trajectory and they never sort of settled, but never with the amount of these cards printed. But with that said, lows for these cards could still be relatively high in the history of this hobby. There's a lot of cards that were, $100 at release. And then they had, pullbacks to like 70. Some of them had pullbacks to like $40. We're in this new timeline of Pokemon where now cards at release are having initial price points of $300. So the likelihood of that card pulling back to like a $30 price point is relatively low. But now you look at some of these like real new alternative arts, like the Sleepy Tea, stuff like that. The Sleepy Tea right at release was a super expensive card. And then we start to see, prices for cards like that pull back and stuff. So if you want it, I would say wait until you feel that the market has kind of hit the bottom. And the only way you're going to know that is just staying, in tune with the market. Jordan W. said, what are your thoughts on Sun and Moon era tag team cards long term? He thinks they're quite unusual and have broad appeal. I love me some Sun and Moon tag team cards, especially Secret Rare, especially I don't really love Rainbow Rares aesthetically. Like, I don't love the way they look. But right now, some of these cards are drastically undervalued for what they are when you look at, because one of the things we talked about earlier is we talked about, that EV, somebody asked like, well, eventually we get a point where prices are even, where you can open a pack and kind of break even. Sun and Moon has gone on the total opposite end of that spectrum, where now we're starting to see Sun and Moon sealed product prices just pull away from individual single cards. So you get to this weird point where, like I said, like you're going to get to a point where the EV is so far separated from this, sealed product route that you're going to start to have a lot of these Sun and Moon cards start to really be undervalued in relative to what they are and how hard the pull rates for some of these cards are. So that's just something to keep in mind. When your chase of a booster box, when you have a booster box that's selling for $700 and your chase card, the most expensive card in that set, is $50, $60, $70, there's usually something wrong with that. So that could mean that card is just undervalued for what the market is valuing it at. And I think that there are some examples of that. Let's see. Danger Donkey says, in your opinion, is it better to sell individual Pokemon cards during the initial hype or sit on them long term? I'm new to this, but I've noticed that the value bubble almost every time a new set releases. I have gotten some good pulls and collected a few PSA 10 alt art cards. Thanks. Yes, especially right at release, right before release too. We've seen that happen on more sets than you can imagine. Right at release, singles normally are at their highest. And then once the market starts to really get oversaturated with singles, prices start to decrease until eventually they hit a bottom. That bottom could take years to happen though. So yeah, If your question is, should I sell cards right away, then my answer is yes. Uh, let's see. Intel said, hey Jake, are Evolution Altarts better to collect in Japanese or English? He has several in both. I'm biased. I'm going to say English, and that's just a subjective question. So that's my answer. I don't need to explain why, just English. QT Burry 1992 said, he's never sent in a card for grading. I built a little bit of vintage collection. I'm debating whether to submit cards to PSA. When do you think grading will be back to $100 or under per card? I think we're getting close there. I don't think 15 is the lowest we'll ever see. Obviously we're at the end of 2022. So maybe end of first quarter in 2023, I wouldn't be amazed if we see some kind of TCG special for $10 a card. And if not 10, maybe 12. But I wouldn't rule it out of all things impossible. We're not that far away right now. We're only talking $5 difference. But my answer to you is, if you're debating to send cards, if you have some cards that are worth it, $15 is still a nice price point. Just get your feet wet a little bit. I'm not saying go crazy. I'm not saying grade every single card you have, but send 10 away. Just do it. Because it sounds like you plan on doing it in the future. And if you have cards that you can justify spending as simple as $5 more a card, you might want to just take that leap. Brandon Rigstan said, how do you organize your collection? He uses big storage boxes, but he can't find anything quickly. I don't want to have my cards take up too much space. So what it sounds like he's talking about is bulk cards. The only way you're going to be able to find bulk quickly is you're going to have to organize your bulk. And yeah, it's a lot of work. My recommendation for you is get your 5-row monster box, organize by set, and just go alphabetically. It's a lot of work. I know. It's not easy. Alphabetical is probably your easiest way. And if you want to make it really, really hard on yourself, you can do it by set number, how the cards fall in the set. That's a lot of work too. There's no easy answer for that. Separating bulk is brutal, and that's why most of us, and probably most of the people in this chat, are not messing with bulk. But you could ask a guy like Nick Old School Pokemon, who does separate out his bulk, and the amount of time that takes is crazy. So that dog says, how do you find such niche and random promo cards? He loves to collect different and odd promos, but he has no idea how to find any. That's simple. If you're talking modern promo cards, the only way you're going to do that is you got to get in some Discord groups. If you're in a few Discord groups, it's almost impossible at the end of 2022 to have information come up to you that you don't know, or that somehow sneaks up on you. As soon as new information is released, whether it's spoilers or promo cards or, niche type releases, whether it's, as simple as, in the UK, like On the Ball, Pikachu, Sobble, stuff like that. Or, in Japan, like Japanese promos, stuff like that. Or Indonesia, like KFC cards or whatever. The best way probably the best way and the fastest way you're going to find out about that is going to be through Discord groups. And if you want two good Discords, I recommend to you Professor Oak's Discord, and I also recommend you Rattle's Discord. If you're just curious and you have no way to stay with your finger on that pulse, just join a Discord. It'll be next to impossible for you to ignore everything. Just Me C says, are promos like Pancho Pikachu's or Mario X Pikachu still good investments, or should we wait for the next opportunity? How do you estimate if cards or sets have hit their peak value? Those are another one of those cards that it's too bad that you kind of missed your boat, but are they good investments? I think it's hard for a lot of those cards to, really retrace in price. And if they do retrace, I think it will be much smaller than a lot of people probably could think could be the worst case scenarios, because there's definitely a lot of artificial price floors that are created for a lot of those cards that if they do start to hit certain prices on their way down, there will be a lot of different buying pressure, especially those Mario Pikachus. And from personal experience, when I was at Collecticon Denver, some of the cards that people were most interested in or the most eyes were on cards were cards like that. So right now, because there are so many eyes on cards like that, I don't hate them. Like, those are cards that I pass on at these higher prices. But if you wanted to like pick up a few, like, you could probably do okay. Let's see. So Zoe, this sounds like he said, I've been meaning to ask for a while. What is the best way for us nerds to digitally categorize our collection? If you find an app, I'm just gonna skip that. It seems like a paid for kind of question. Maximus Prime C said, what are your thoughts on the build and battle boxes compared to collecting ETBs? Oh, I like this question. I don't think the retail value is a very good deal, but have seen many for $10 to $20 off. Yeah, so that's a whole thing. These build and battles, like, they're not bad deals. You get the 2 build and battle kits, and then you get the extra 4 packs. The build and battle kits, you're going to have the random of the 4 different promos in it. Like, they're not bad, especially, I mean, at MSRP, I don't even know what MSRP. They're like $49.99. No, not, like $59.99. So MSRP for those are very high. Those things are constantly selling at fire sale prices. Picking them up at like $39, stuff like that. So $39 when you get 12 packs plus the 2, promo bricks, that's not bad when you're looking at an ETB. And yeah, ETB, you're going to get 8 packs for $39.99. Or you get 12 packs for $39.99 plus the 2 promo bricks. Like, I like building battle boxes if you could pick them up cheap enough. Pace said, if you could only pick one, which would it be? Crown Zenith and V-Star Universe. I'd just say Crown Zenith right now for me. I'm an English collector through and through. Grump Rave says, how many chats we go on? So, Grump Rave, if you're just joining this now, I'm doing AMA, so Ask Me Anything. But this is not my AMA. This is Twice Baked Jake's AMA. He made a video where he answered his AMA. It was like a 15-minute video. He got 235 questions in his. I wanted to just do the same thing, but I didn't want to make a community post, so I'm just taking his questions because it was already there. That's why you're seeing 2 chats. Let's see. Alpha Jack says, does grading Aiden said, do you see vintage slabs going down in price more, or do you think this is just about as low as they will go? Oh my God, that is a super broad question. So there is definitely a lot of vintage cards that definitely have some price retraces, that they're still going. But then there are some cards that the prices have just held strong, and in fact, they're going up in value even with price, like, pop increases. Shout out to Professor Oak again. I just talked about his Discord. Professor Oak posted a phenomenal photo of the reverse hollow Ditto Pikachu from Delta Species. If you're not familiar with that card, it's the Pikachu card, but it has the Ditto face, so it's a Ditto Pikachu, and it's a reverse hollow, so it has the Delta Species stamp on it. It's a beautiful card. In 2017, it sold at a PWCC auction for $25, the reverse hollow in a PSA 10. At the time of the sale, for $25 5 years ago, it was a pop 1. So normally, a card, you would say, as the price increases, prices decrease. Well, in 2017, that card was $25 for a reverse hollow in a PSA 10. Fast forward 5 years later, there's now a graded population of that card of 51, meaning that the population of that card has 50x'd and went from 1 to now 50 of them exist. And the prices for those cards are greater than $500 for a graded PSA 10 reverse hollow Ditto Pikachu from Delta Species. So there are some cards that, even with population increases, as long as they're good cards, but there are definitely some cards out there that are not. Let's see. So it's really going to depend on the card and the fundamentals of that card, or if you think that there's a lot of people out there who's going to want that card. We've talked about it so many videos. I don't want to keep beating this horse to death, but first edition Jungle Pikachu and Eevees selling at the prices they're selling at right now, they probably still have a decent way to retrace. But there's probably a couple vintage cards that might be close to their floors right now. Or there could be a couple vintage cards right now that are just oversold into the market because we are coming into this weird timeline where so many big bulk returns came back at the exact same time. So the market is just temporarily oversupplied. And then when it comes to the graded card market and you have markets that are temporarily oversupplied, it just takes a little bit of time for that market to, like, it's kind of like this elastic effect, right? Where now the market has to recover. It has to absorb those cards, and those cards can't be absorbed by like flippers or investors. Those cards need to be absorbed by collectors. And once those cards start to get into collectors' hands, then you could potentially see prices increase. So there's no easy answer for that question. Sorry. So Captain said, I see that you love having these Pokemon. I'm going to skip that question. Yelp Master said, what's your take on collecting sealed booster boxes? How do you feel about it? Or why would it be great/bad to do so? Do you personally do it? Is a safe item to collect in a world of overprints? He loves collecting, but there eventually comes a point where you might get too invested money-wise and a bad move invest in a bad product. Turns ugly real fast. Please share your thoughts. I like investing in booster boxes. I invest in booster boxes. I have a booster box of every single modern set, like going back for a pretty long time. For the most part, when you buy a booster box, your money, is going to be relatively safe, assuming that your price points that you entered at aren't terrible. If your price point for a modern product is you buy all your booster boxes off of PokemonCenter.com, and every single booster box you've ever bought, you paid like $143 or something for, and you never paid like $80 for a booster box, or $85 or $90 or $95, or you've just only ever decide to buy Vivid Voltage when it hit $220, or you decide, those are where your prices are going to start to be like a little bit dangerous. But if you are going the sealed booster box route, I would say get familiar with the market and find your cheapest entry points. And don't tell me that your cheapest entry point is PokemonCenter.com. It's not. So, but I like them. They're just, you're not going to see like crazy returns on booster boxes, with the exception of like, there are the outliers that exist. Evolving Skies is definitely an outlier. Pick it up for 95, 100, 105, 110. You've seen massive gains in a very short amount of time. But then you could have other boosted boxes like Chill and Rain. So Chill and Rain, probably a large majority of the people in this hobby are actually down in Chill and Rain right now. I did make a video titled, As I Walk Through the Valley, the $79.95 booster box, I Fear No Evil, where I thought Chill and Rain had great price entry points at 80. But I also watched as Chill and Rain sold out on Pokemon Center at 143. I watched it go sold out. So you have a lot of people that have poor price points for that. Same thing with like Battle Styles. I saw some confirmed sales of 160 for Battle Styles. Anybody that bought Battle Styles at 160, is down money in that for a long time. And they're down money longer than Evolving Skies was even released as a set. So price point. Can't say it enough. David said, how good do you think the Crown Zenith set will be in terms of collectability and future and value in the future? It's going to be a cool set. I think there's going to be a lot of big hitters. That's all I got to say about that. Like, collectability and future value. Your future value is going to be subjective. Like, how long is this set going to be in print, and how much of this set is going to be printed? I've already heard two different people say two different things. I've heard one person said they expect Crown Zenith to be super underprinted, and I've heard another person say Crown Zenith is going to be print to the ground. I have no clue. It's way too early for me to tell about something like that. I do get nervous, specialty sets. You can have again, it's going to come down to price points. You can have crazy hype at the beginning where you start to see prices really skyrocket quickly. People buy in at those prices, and then we see retraces. Perfect example, Shining Fates. Shining Fates at pre-order prices hit between $120 and $130. Shining Fates right now, you could probably still go into your local Walmart, pick it up right off the shelf. You definitely can go into your local GameStop and pick up a Shining Fates right off the shelf at $49.95. There's a lot of people bought that Shining Fates ETB at $120. They're down $70 on that. And then the same thing with Champions Path. There was a lot of people bought Champions Path right at release for like $99. Fast forward close to 2 years later, Champions Path is still selling at like $95, $99. So you have a lot of stagnant money in some products like that, assuming you get in right at the beginning and your price points are just way too high. So it's all about price points. So Russo said, love the videos about investing, collecting. After collecting for a while, he was wondering, when is it time to sell a piece of your collection? When do you think is the best place to sell your card? Or where do you think is the best place to sell your card or product? Best place to sell your card or product is probably going to be eBay, because that's going to be your truest market price. And it's going to have the most eyes on your card. Most of the time, whatever cards are selling for on eBay is just the true market price. Yes, there can obviously be like your shill bids or market manipulation going on, but for the most part, especially modern stuff, especially stuff that there's a lot of sales of it, you could kind of understand like true market price. Now, he was wondering, when is it time to sell a piece of your collection? Nobody can answer that for you but you. You'll only be the one that's going to answer that. You know, we are very lucky we got Gem Mint Pokemon on before he really, well, it was actually the first time he made it truly public in a large public forum when he got his English Versus series. He talked about selling, you know, a Charizard PSA 10 to free up cash. And then we're talking first edition Charizard, not just regular Charizard. First edition Charizard and PSA 10 to free up cash in order to acquire that purchase. Gem Mint Pokemon doesn't want to be selling first edition PSA 10 Charizard. So it's really going to depend on like, what are you doing with that money? So, let's see. Adam said, what are your thoughts on robo-grading? He understands other companies have longer track records, but grading seems to be subjected to the individual. To the individual that gets assigned the card. A robo-grader seems to take away at least some of that. People love 10s. Robo-grading's not giving away 10s. People aren't going to want robo-grading. That's the market. People love 10s. I promise you, people love 10s. If you don't believe me, go on eBay. Look at prices of 10s. People like 10s. People are going to want that human subject, or, you know, like they want 10s. And robo-grading right now, the technology is still too new. And we saw that. When AGS was grading all the fake first edition stamps, that was a huge problem. That's because their robo-grading was not able to pick up fake first edition stamps. The technology is too new if you cannot pick up fake first edition stamps. I'm just going to say that again. So, somebody said, thoughts on buying cases of V-Star Universes over loose boxes. Also, should I be grading Zard UPC promos and stuff from VMAX Climax / Chase new cards? It depends. Why does everybody ask price point? What are you buying your V-Star Universe at, or loose boxes? Are you paying $120 per box? Then you're paying too much. Do you have a real good in Japan and you're getting those boxes for $50? Good. You're asking about buying entire cases. So if are you asking to open this stuff? Like V-Star Universe, I would not be FOMOing in if I were you. I'd be waiting for prices for V-Star Universe to retrace a little bit, because I think V-Star Universe is not going to be like super expensive for a super long time. Like long-term price trajectory of that product, I have no clue. But I think you will have opportunities in the future to pick that up for less than what it's selling at right now today, which is $95. And then he also said, should be great in Zard UPC promos at $15. Go ahead. $15. You got 3 of them in there. You know, that's $45 to grade all 3. Right now, PSA 9s are selling for $45. PSA 10s are still selling for like $150. At $15, do it. You know, you're talking break even for all 3 of them is you just need one of those 3 cards to hit a 9. 1 out of 3 to hit a 9 to break even on grading fees. And then the other 2, assuming one of them hits a 10, you're making money. Assuming one of them hits a 9, you're still making money when you add up all 3. You know, assuming you grade all 3, one of them hits a 10, the other 2 hit 9s. That's $250. It costs you $45 to grade. Zard UPC promos still a good bet. Juan Diaz said, so my question is the one on shining Pokemon cards from Shining Legends. Do you think those cards like Lugia or Rayquaza will ever get the prices like Shining Raichu or older Shining cards? You're talking like, so like going back to Neos, like Neo Rev, Neo Discovery. No, sorry. Those cards will never get the same price points as when you look at Shining, or when you look at Neo Rev and you got your Magikarp and your Shining Gyarados. There'll never come a time when cards from Shining Legends are equal in price to old school original shiny WotC cards. Whether it's Neo Rev, Neo Discovery, Neo Destiny, none of those cards from any of those sets will ever be equal 1-to-1 with Shining Legends. I will say that with all certainty. Ender Wizard said, do you think collecting older ETBs like Sun and Moon reprints or Darkness Ablaze are worth it? If you're collecting them, go ahead. Because that's what you're asking. Collecting. You didn't ask about investing. You said collecting older ETBs. If you want to collect ETBs, go for it. Sun and Moon reprints, price points went down pretty low. Darkness Ablaze, again, there was a while you could pick up Darkness Ablaze ETBs for $27. And you said you are collecting those. So $27, nice price point. If you're going to ask me if you're an investor and you're just going to pick up a ton of these and you're going to stack up like hundreds of boxes and stuff like that, and you're going to be Rudy 2.0, but instead of doing booster boxes, you're just doing ETBs, I'd probably say a little bit more caution for something like that. But that's not what he asked. Roy Kim says, as a very low budget collector, student, does it make sense to grade modern cards that look as if they could be 9s instead of 10s? I'm thinking of sending in cards to PSA, and I'm not sure if I'm making a good decision with my submission. You're a student, you got a little bit of money. You're going to have to, I'd have to really like know what your budgets are. Can you afford to spend in 10 cards at $15 and spend $150? Because assuming your cards are worth it, like you have some alt-art cards, as a poor student, assuming your cards are decent cards, like maybe you got a Lugia V alt-art, or maybe you got a Rayquaza V alt-art, maybe you got one Moonbreon, you got lucky, you pulled the pack, maybe you got one of those cards. When you grade one of those cards and it hits a 10, that could be big money in your pocket as a broke college student for a relatively low investment of $150 up front. Because in your comment, it sounds like you already own those cards. And then, assuming worst case scenarios, none of them hit 10s, all of them hit 9s, but none of them are worth money for you to get back your $150, then I would say if you sent away 10 cards, all of them hit 9s, and you can't break even on 150, then you probably sent in the wrong cards to begin with. Adam F. said, I think the Shellos from Steam Siege share... Yeah, I think this is like a tongue twister. I think the Shellos from Steam Siege shares the same spirit as the Latios and Latias tag team. What? Do you have any other suggestions for an affordable card that shares the same spirit as an expensive one? Shellos from Steam Siege. I have no clue what card he's talking about, unless he's talking about just like a random common from Steam Siege. Like it's not a full art card. Hashtag Volcanion sucks, but oh, you know what? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure what like a common Shellos Steam Siege looks like. But if you want a Shellos card, you should be looking at super niche, super random. Hashtag 2007 Collecticon. I want to say it's from Diamond and Pearl, like maybe Secret Wonders or something. There's a Shellos card, but it was a promo in 2007 at Collecticon. And that card is super cheap. I'd say you could probably pick up that card raw for less than $20. It's just if you like super niche things, like Shellos 2007 Secret Wonders Secret Wonders Comic-Con. That's the only Shellos card I could think of. I cannot picture what the Steam Siege one looks like. Sorry. Hobbyism. I love how they're all addressed to Jake, so I just have to skip his name. But Hobbyism says, can you walk us through the price life cycles of a series product based on your long experience with the hobby? When do prices shoot? When do they go down to a reasonable level? When do singles become better than packs? Love your videos. Prices right at release are probably going to be the highest. Eventually, the market's oversaturated with singles. Prices are going to start to go down. Eventually, as product starts to get old enough, it's not opened as much. Eventually, the collector base is able to eat up the available supply. Once that available supply and is locked up in collectors' hands, prices start to naturally start to go up. That can take years. It can take decades in the case of base set or jungle or fossil for some of these super mass-produced cards. So it could take years, or it can take 2020 Pokemon boom bubbles in order for some of this stuff to really go up. So Don Dude said, as a collector, I love being able to buy trainer gallery cards and full art Vs for cheap prices because I can have more beautiful cards in my collection. That being said, since they seem to be readily available, I wonder if they'll ever be valuable. Do you think these cards will ever go up in value or be missed? I'm leaning towards maybe a little, but probably not. Full art Vs are very cool, but they can't compare to the beautiful of alt arts. Yeah, I think trainer galleries are some beautiful cards. I think if you are able to source trainer gallery cards right now in the current market and hit 10s, they do pretty damn well. Especially because price points for a lot of these trainer art cards are so low. There's a lot of trainer gallery art or trainer gallery cards that are $5, $15 grade, and you're into those cards for $20. 10 prices right now on some of these cards are still pretty drastic. When you look at trainer gallery cards, you could go back to Cosmic Eclipse when the Reds Pikachu, that card was selling for $5 all day long. Until eventually the market started to realize what it was. It saw highs around 35 to 40 for the raw price, and now those prices have dropped back down because we've seen a reprint of Cosmic Eclipse. At least maybe not a reprint. We've definitely seen a restock in a lot of different promo boxes, whether it's the Arceus V figure collection or whether it's Pokeball tins or random tins. We've seen more of those cards hit the market, but still, when you look at the Reds Pikachu in a 10, that card is still at a high premium. And that's true for a lot of these trainer gallery cards. The only problem is, especially English, it's like Edward Scissorhand cut some of these cards. So they can be rough to grade. Random Juan said, do you anticipate any product growth with the Charizard UPC long term, knowing that the product is being overly printed to the moon as we speak? Yes, yes, and yes. I'm still super bullish on the Charizard UPC, especially I'm super bullish now at price points. Some price points for Charizard UPC is $90. Do I believe Charizard UPCs is a good buy at $90? Yes. I just told you that PSA 9 Charizard UPC promos are still selling for $50. 10s are still selling for $150. Those prices will go down. They gotta go down. It's gonna be Champions Path Charizard V promos all over again. But with that said, there's still 3 promos. So even when eventually, and this will happen probably, more likely than not, PSA 10 prices get to $40 to $50 for those cards in a 10. That means best case scenario is you grade all 3, you get $150. It's not really going to matter in the super long term when Charizard UPCs are no longer available at distribution, when they're no longer available at retail. They're going to have very similar feel to it, like the Champions Path ETBs, where Champions Path ETBs, that promo card inside in a PSA 10 is $30. Champions Path as a set sucks. Those, again, ETBs are worth $100. I see nice long-term trajectories of Charizard UPCs, especially because of what today's entry points are. That's where I come down to that. Let's see. Eric Walno said, would you recommend opening the special delivery trio, or would they grow more value over time if they are still sealed? When you talk about special delivery trio, you got to be talking about special delivery Pikachu, Bidoof, and Charizard. Opening them, I'm guessing. What would you do if you open them? You're grading them, right? Why else would you open that sealed cellophane packet? yeah, if you think they're 10 candidates, like, why not? But make sure they're not off-center. Charizard UPCs are relatively off-centered. We're coming to find out, like, how truly hard those cards are to grade in 10s, especially when you're looking at, like, other promo cards as of recently. So I would say if you think they're 10 candidates, open them. But if you do not think they're 10 candidates, they're probably better off kept sealed or at least sold raw. Let's see. Eric, oh wait, that was a question. How do you say this name? Marovi says, when you open up a lot of boosters, you get a lot of bulk. Do you have any recommendations on how to store those cards, especially since I like to try? I just talked about it, monster boxes. Cat Film says, when do you think the optimal time to pick up a new or newish set is? My optimal time is $95 per booster box. When it hits there, you're doing pretty good. Look at the set. Look at where you are in print runs, or at least reprint timeline. Has that set been reprinted? Do you expect it to get reprinted? That $90 to $95 is a nice price point to just pick up one. If you're going to go the investing route, really, if you're going to start going investing around in booster boxes like this, you're going to have to start making the conscious decision. Do you want to start picking up product from distribution and then trying to get your price points down to like $86.50? Because for a new account, $86.50 is probably your best bet, opposed to that $95. Let's see. It's Corey BYT said, recently picked up the following sets from an auction in the UK. So he picked up Base Set 2, Platinum Arceus, Legendary Treasures, Pop 6 to 9. Any cards you recommend as a must to get graded? I mean, you could just do like one card from each set. I guess that would be easier. So Base Set 2, grade your Charizard. Platinum Arceus, probably grade your Level X Gengar. Legendary Treasures, probably grade one of the two gold secret rares, so either the Reshiram or the Zekrom. I'd say go with the last card in the set. Grade the Zekrom because I like Zekrom over Reshiram, but that's personal opinion. And then Pop 6 and 9. Pop 6, grade the Pikachu. Pop 9, grade the Pikachu card. Pop Series 6 and 9 both kind of suck as Pop Series cards, and probably the two Pikachus are the best. I like the Pop Series 9 one the best, where Pikachu's kind of like jumping in the air. You can like see his whole body. He's got his hands up in the air. There's like a beach background, like a nice blue background border to it. That would be my guess for those, if I had to pick one from each of those sets. But if you picked up complete sets of those, you know, Platinum Arceus is nice, obviously, because you got the AR Arceus subset in there. You got the 9 cards. It makes a nice little, you put them in a binder, they make that nice little image. But no, I would say go with Level X Gengar. Pokemon 145 channel says, I'm wondering, when you turn the pages in a card guard binder properly, does it bend the cards if they are in sleeves? It does not bend the cards unless you do not know how to turn the pages, or if you do not know how to properly put the pages back. Binders are not that bad, but they can definitely damage your card if you're just going willy-nilly. Jose said, 2 questions. Should I trade my older single cards for new sealed product? And second, what do you think of the new Scarlet and Violet Pikachu card that came with your pre-order in Japan? Love it. Just told you. I picked up a few. Should you trade your older singles for new product? Hey, you got to decide that on yourself, man. If that's something you want to do, go for it. Reggie said, Gold Star cards have been on my radar for a while, but it doesn't seem to be getting as much traction as Modern or Wizard of the Coast cards. Do you think they are good investments considering how expensive they are? Hoping to collect one that are decent quality, PSA 8 or above. Gold Stars are actually one of the very earliest bubbles we ever saw in Pokemon. Gold Star bubbles kind of predates all other Pokemon bubbles with the exception of like 99 bubble. There's a lot of price already built into Gold Stars. If you're going for 8s though, 8s are attainable. 8s are definitely attainable for like raw prices. This is the thing. A lot of people are overvaluing raw, Gold Star cards because of that. They're hoping for 9s, they're hoping for 10s, but in reality, probably getting 8s. But if you stay in tune with the market and you put some eBay save searches, the Gold Stars, and you start following auctions, probably given enough time, you'll get lucky. So I think 8s are okay. Like, It's middle of the road. Be careful though. Like that's gonna be like a price entry point, you know? Like like however you're getting into gold stars, because there's so much built into the prices of gold stars already, I would say build in an easy 20% buffer, assuming that those cards could lose 20% in value. And when you start to add in every single gold star and you start to add in like a 20% buffer for you, you're starting to talk about a lot of money you could potentially lose in all gold stars. More Life Clint says, do you think gold secret rares are undervalued and will shoot up over time? Love the gold Mew from Celebrations and secret rare Zashi and Zamazenta gold cards. I love character gold cards. I don't love like trainer gold stars, or not trainer, but like stadiums. I'm not a big fan of the stadium gold stars. Just not for me. They're cool, just not for me. So I like some gold stars. I don't like others. But we did talk about legendary treasures earlier, and I just did tell you I do like two gold stars in that, or two gold cards in that set. It's like the last two secret rares. I want to say it's like a 115 card set. Or no, it's 113 card set. And then number 114 is the Reshiram, and the Zekrom is number 115 in that set. Those two secret rares. That's where your money needs to be. And those cards are probably $30, or probably like a third of the price of one pack. The market's pretty crazy sometimes when you look at some of that stuff. Sleep, Eat, Breathe Music. I like that name. Sleep, Eat, Breathe Music. Do you think PSA grading metal cards again will change people's perception of the UPCs, specifically the Celebrations UPC? And what is the likelihood of grading these cards again? If they can't keep those cards from being damaged in slabs, it may never happen again. Chino A said, which modern Pokemon sets sealed do you think will be a good long-term investment? So he said modern, so modern. And I'm guessing you're talking Sword and Shield. Say your best two modern sets, hoping Evolving Skies gets a reprint. So if you haven't picked up your Evolving Skies, you better finger cross right now that it gets a reprint. Whatever the lowest price comes after that reprint is a good investment. And then same thing with not Chill and Rain. Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars is another one of my favorite sets. And then it's going to come to like Silver Tempest. If Silver Tempest does not get a reprint, you might see Silver Tempest boxes do okay. This is super subjective. Like, saying any of that stuff could age super poorly. You know, Evolving Skies may never get a reprint. Prices might just continue to keep going up and never really stop. Brilliant Stars might never get a reprint. Prices keep going up. Brilliant Stars might get a reprint. Lost Silver Tempest may get a reprint. You know, it's going to be so dependent on reprints. Rocky Gutierrez said, do you believe reverse holos will ever catch on in terms of value and collectability, especially the evolution set due to its popularity? No. Reverse holos for some sets definitely are catching on. You go back to your very first ever reverse holos and legendary collection, Expedition, Quapolis, Skyridge. Love all those cards. I love even some of the non-stamped Nintendo cards like Hidden Legends. I love the reverse holo pattern, Hidden Legend reverse holo cards. I love the stamp cards. You know, there's a couple that stick out in your mind. EX Emerald, beautiful. Dragon Frontiers, Delta Species, Holland Phantoms. All those sets, beautiful. Love it. Unseen Forces, love an Unseen Forces reverse holo because I love the stamp. Now, super modern reverse holos, never. And they're fun to like play around with. I made a video where I like didn't really speculate, but I bought like a ton of like the Charmander reverse holos from Burning Shadows, and I bought a ton of the Mimikyu with his head sticking out from around the tree from a Cosmic Eclipse. Like, I love those cards. I think they're beautiful artworks, but I wouldn't be speculating too much on reverse holo modern cards, especially evolutions. There's a lot of reverse holos evolutions out there, and there will be a lot of reverse holos evolutions out there for a very, very long time. Let's see. What is the best way to send in cards for grading as a prep pack-in? Which delivery service is best in your experience, insurance or not? Card Saver ones, stick them in a flat rate UPS box. That UPS box is going to give you a little bit of like protection. No insurance. I never insure my cards. Never. Insurance is super expensive. You're going to get your $100 for your flat rate box insurance. That's all. It's ride or die. That's how I do it. Yeah, you probably don't like that answer, but I never use insurance. How do you feel in the future Pokemon remodels or case distribution where there's guaranteed hits, rares, case hits, like Weiss Sports? I don't think we ever see like guaranteed hit rates from English Modern. I don't think we'll ever see that. Roy said, what do you think about grading cards when you don't live in the U.S.? Do you think the cost is worth it? Normally, I'd say for anybody not overseas, never go with a middleman. But if you could find a good middleman, you could find somebody who has like relatively cheap prices, you might want to just like look around, see who's middleman and see what their prices are. And do you think the cost will be worth it? That was the next question you asked. The cost is going to be worth it if your cards are worth it. If you got high-end expensive cards, then hell yeah, man, it's going to be worth it. But if you have cheap-ass cards that aren't worth it, it's not going to be worth it. You're going to lose money. Let's see. Personnel. What is the one thing in the TCG game that should stay forever and one thing that should change for the better? One thing that should stay is single prize Pokemon. One thing that should go away is 3 prize Pokemon. 3 prize Pokemon should never be in the TCG. And that's what he asked. He said in the trading card game. So yeah, fuck 3 prize Pokemon. Pluxus says, I have a Moonbrown and I don't know if where I should get it graded. The card itself looks physically flawless. However, I don't want to submit it alone to get graded since shipping and service fees are expensive if you only send a couple cards to services like PSA, for example. Dude, your Moonbrown is worth it to send to PSA. How much money do you think it costs to send a card to PSA? I also don't have many other cards that I would want to get graded. My most notable are probably the new Pikachu promo, Scarlet and Violet pre-order Japanese promo, and the Mewtwo V alt art from Pokemon Go. He's talking about like the full art. Dude, he has... I love collectors like this. He's sitting on a Moonbrown raw, but his other 2 expensive cards is like super mass-produced Japanese promo and then the Mew V full art from the Pokemon Go ETB. I have some cards such as the Mega Charizard from Generations that are somewhat expensive, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he lives in the UK just in case to make. If you got one card, the Moonbrown, spend the $50 just to get it graded. Send it at the $50 tier. It's worth it. It's a card that's worth it. Do it. Especially if it hits a 10. I've just made a video talking about how recent bulk submissions have not been getting upgraded, man, or getting upcharged. A lot of people are asking about the Precious Collection box. Get yourself a Tenso account. Get your Japanese pre-orders in before they become expensive. He's trying to collect every single Eevee card, strictly Eevee. Where are some good, trusted places to find the card? TCG Player, Troll and Toad, eBay. There you go. For our Sword and Shield era, generally, which is the best long-term investment? Seal booster boxes or chase alt-art PSA 10s? Seal booster boxes, if you're ever asking me if you should buy PSA 10s. Never, ever, you're listening. You should never buy PSA 10 modern cards. You should be grading PSA 10 modern cards. You should not please stop doing it right now. Whatever you're doing, don't click buy it now. Do not be paying for PSA 10 modern prices. PSA 10 modern cards are way too easy to grade. Pick it up raw and just do it yourself. So because of the way his question was answered or was asked, picking up 10s or picking up sealed product, the way it's asked, sealed product. But if your question was, what is a better thing to do? Pick up sealed product or pick up these alt-art cards raw, grade them yourself, hit 10s, and flip them onto the market? I would have told you different, but that's not what he asked. Stop buying modern PSA 10s. You should be the one selling modern PSA 10s. The way I look at, certain cards, especially in 10s, I always think about this. can I reproduce this? Meaning, can I take another card and get the same grade in the future? If my answer is yes, and if it's an astounding yes, and you scream it from the mountaintops, yes, 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 you will be able to grade this card in the future as a 10, that is an easy sell for me. Where it starts to become a little tougher is if that is like a vintage card where can I grade this again myself in a 10 when my answer starts to be like, psh, probably not. Or if you do, it's going to be like 5 years from now, or good luck sourcing this card. Then I start to have that internal conversation. But no. The Wii Nerd says, what if anything do you think the Pokemon Company replaced trainer galleries with starting in Scarlet and Violet? I think we'll still see training galleries sticking around in Scarlet and Violet. Maximus Prime. Ooh, I like it. Maximus Decius Aurelius, commander to the north, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife. He will have his vengeance in this life or the next. But Maximus Prime asked, hey Jake, what collection boxes or tins do you think are worth investing in now and holding for 5 years? Personally recently picked up Zekrom and Pikachu and Dragon Ball V's from Shining Fates. Collection boxes and tins. I would tell you I liked a couple of the tins, like a little while back, like that had like tag team packs in it, like there was the Venusaur and the Celebi one, like those. Then there was like the Pikachu and the Zekrom one, but then that kind of got a reprint of that card. But oh, he actually mentioned that, the Zekrom and Pikachu. Yeah, I like those. I'm not like huge into tins though, but if that's something you're into, like go for it. Especially if you could get those at, relatively cheap. Go for it. The only thing tough about tins sometimes is, yes, tins will have like product codes on the bottom where you could know like which release they were, what packs are going to be in there, but sometimes you'll have like tins that you're not really 100% sure on which packs are inside, because if it's a reprint, you might get like the newer packs that were put in. Like a perfect example is like that Venusaur and Celebi Alt-Art tin. There's that tin has tag team packs in it, but the later reprints of that tin did not have tag team packs in it. So really, I don't like those later tins clearly as much as I like the ones that have the tag team packs in it. So you need to know which ones they are, which is also important. Chris said, if you had $100, what single set would you start collecting? If I only had $100 and I had to buy a single set, I don't know. I'd buy, should we make it a meme? I'd take that $100 and I'd spend 50 of it and I'd get a complete Emergent Powers, black and white, second set of black and white. I could just have a complete Emergent Powers set. Get my Tornadus and then I just start working. Hashtag Bravery's rookie card. Majester Matt says, if you could meet and interview one Pokemon TCG artist, who would it be? Probably either Sugimori or Rita, if I was going to do an actual interview, because I feel like those would be the two I could have the most in-depth conversation with. Bobby Phillips says, I enjoy the Shining Pokemons as well as the Radiant Pokemon. If I were to collect just those cards, what sets or collection boxes or booster box would I need to open up? All from Sword and Shield. Bro, if you are opening up packs to pull Radiant cards or collection boxes, just buy the raw cards. You can probably get it done way cheaper. He said, do you think booster boxes of Evolving Skies are going to drop in price? They are going to drop in price if there is a reprint. If there's no reprint, they will not drop in price. I don't think there's anything in between. I don't think that if there's not a reprint, they drop in price. I think the only way they drop right now today is with a reprint. And I do think there's a likelihood of that happening, but nothing is guaranteed. And keep in mind, Evolving Skies was the most recent set that was reprinted. So in fact, the chances of the next reprint being Evolving Skies is relatively low when you look at a set like Brilliant Stars, which is also creeping towards like that 170 price point. It is far away from Evolving Skies, yes, I'll give you that, but it's still creeping up pretty high, and that set makes more sense for the reprint, but you can't rule out Evolving Skies. Mac said, what is your opinion on Japanese? It's interesting reading these comments. A lot of people like Japanese. A lot of people like Evolving Skies. It's like Japanese, Evolving Skies, Japanese, Evolving Skies. What is your opinion on Japanese regular sets versus US ones? I bought a Japanese Machamp V Alt-Art when it was about $20 in both languages. You bought a Machamp V Alt-Art for $20 for the English version? I don't believe you. But now the US one is almost 3 times as expensive. Do you have a Discord? I don't have a Discord. Professor Oak has a Discord. Join Professor Oak's Discord. Join the Rattles Discord. I don't know. Good for you. That's my opinion on it. It's good for you. You got some pretty cheap prices on that Machamp V Altart at $20. The Espeon said, I've held on to my Umbreon VMAX Altart Japanese for a while now. I'm stuck on sending it to get graded or selling raw. That is a don't. Thankfully, prices for PSA have come down, but I guess my big concern is not getting a 10 and not loving it as much. I don't care if other people have done this with grading. At the end of the day, we all hope for a 10. Bro, you just asked the question of you're thinking about sending it to get graded or selling raw. That means you want to sell that card. That card is, do not sell that raw. There are people buying that card raw to grade it. And the fact that you think you're not going to like it as much if it hits a 9 opposed to a 10, your question, the beginning of your question asked, should you sell it graded or raw? It means you already are considering selling it. How attached can you be to it if you're considering selling it raw? Send that card away for graded, man. Come on. That's an easy question. Chris K. After Deep Impact in the late 90s. Are we talking Deep Impact, the movie from the late 90s? Hashtag Deep Impact. Hashtag Armageddon. The attention for Pokemon cards dropped in the early 2000s. Do you think the new sets will perform similar to early 2000 sets? First, lower because of limited attention, and high on the next hype 20 years in the future. Nah. It's different factors, in my opinion. The factors that contributed to Pokemon losing a little bit of its steam in 2000 was the generation of collectors in Pokemon that really got into it, just grew up. It's like the movie Hook with Robin Williams. Like, you grow up and you start forgetting about stuff. And people grew up and they started to forget about Pokemon. This is different. Today's, at least the amount of the hobby, that the real dollar amount that's driving this hobby is definitely from a older collector, a more well-established collector, and somebody that has a little bit more money. So I think while we will see a little bit of a downtrend, it won't be nearly as strong as it was in, the 2000s. All right. But I like the Deep Impact. I want to say Deep Impact probably cracked 90s or early 2000s. Terrible movie, by the way. Air Drifter said, do you see graded modern cards as a good way to increase the value of a card, especially if you got a high pop? Yes, man. Grade your cards. Do it. Roy Van said, what do you think about the prime cards from Heart Gold Soul Silver era? I'm planning on collecting them all since a nice niche. Do it. Keep in mind, a couple years ago, prime cards were in dollar bins. Don't overspend on prime cards. Keep that in mind. Not 5 years ago, dollar bins. You could pick up primes. So it is a cool niche. It's nice. We love our prime cards, especially you got some of your big ones. You got your, and then obviously if you're going to go after any prime card, you got to go after the Raichu because that's the best prime card. Everyone knows that. That's not really a conversation. Everyone knows Raichu Prime, the best one from Undaunted. But be careful. Don't spend too much money on prime cards. But yeah, it's a cool niche. Do it. D. Morgan said, do you think a PSA 10 Special Delivery Charizard will increase or hold value in a short term? It will decrease in the short term. Yes. Once those codes expire, will FOMO make the prices shoot up? No. There will be Special Delivery Charizards being graded. Keep in mind, I did grade a Special Delivery Charizard in a 10. I sold it for $625. Look at the prices of PSA 10 Special Delivery Charizard right now, today. I sold mine at $625, and I express graded it at $100 because I was so nervous about the market. Special Delivery Charizards will continue to roll out on the market for a long time. Me personally, I will have a Special Delivery Charizard in every single PSA submission I send out for the next half decade to full decade of my life. I am acquiring as many as I can raw with the future of graded. So there will be though that card is not a good card to be holding on to in a 10, especially because I mentioned earlier, that is a card that, yes, it is relatively hard to grade, but you will be able to reproduce that card in the future. Donald said, simple question, but a lot to follow up. Do you think the build and battle... Oh, wait, I already read that. I think I already talked about build and battle. How do you feel about XY cards? I think full arts from XY Ancient Origins are beautiful. What do you think? Ancient Origins is one of my favorite sets. If you like relatively cheap full art cards for what they are, look at the price of like an XY base pack opposed to the full art Venusaur, the full art Blastoids. Not bad. I think there's a lot of slept on cards right now in XY, especially in full arts. I think that's a good comment. Ancient Origins, beautiful set. I think Ancient Origins doesn't get the love it deserves. But yeah, I think you're Green Turtle 56. I think you're going in the right direction. Clyde Catch says, if you need money like buying a house, would you consider selling a large portion, if not all, of your collection? No. Next question. Death Angel says, what considerations do you make when getting cards graded? The current value or condition, etc.? Condition, obviously. Corners, edges, surface, centering. You should always be looking at that before you send any cards. But I'm not just looking at current value. I'm looking at how many of those cards are currently on the market. Is that a card that is oversaturated on the market and it doesn't really make sense? I look at what my break-even price is. Is my break-even on a graded card a 9, or is my break-even on it as a 10? Or is my break-even an 8? You know, the lower the grade goes and your break-even point comes, the way more enticing that card becomes to grade. Meaning if your break-even on a card is like a 7, and assuming it's in relatively good near mint condition, all day, that's a full send 100% of the time. If your break-even is a 9, and depending on the card and all the stuff we kind of talked about in an earlier video, it becomes a lot tougher. David Simon says, what's your opinion on master sets and long-term value of master sets rather than individual cards from a given set? Well, I mean, master sets, the value is always going to be truly in cannibalizing that down and selling cards individually. But go for it. If you like master sets, it's something good to have, especially if you're going to be more of the collector aspect of this hobby. So let's see. So Boondock Game says, what did he ask? I'm going to go over to the actual chat. He said, no one wants to have that combo. He said, definitely not. Not the PSA. I just got back. I laughed my ass off. Someone was having a bad day. I don't know what the question was. Yeah, I'm not sure. All right, which question were we on? So Stat said, hey, what's your opinion on the Umbreon VMAX Alt-Art graded cards? Do you think PSA 10 and BGS Pristine 10s are going to stay at the high prices they are now trending, or will they drop? So Umbreon VMAX is trending down right now. I hope we all know that. We're all in agreement that $800 is less than $1,500. So that's a card that I'd be very nervous. Do not be buying modern 10s. Don't do it. Sell modern 10s. Sell modern 10s. Do not buy modern 10s. Buy that card raw. Do it. That Umbreon VMAX Alt-Art has an 80% gem mint 10 rate. Meaning if you had 10 cards and you blindly sent 10 cards and you didn't even look at condition, statistically speaking, 8 out of those 10 cards will hit a PSA 10 for you. It's like, may the odds forever be in your favor. Right out of like the Hunger Games. Good luck. May the odds forever... So Cart says, as a collector on a budget who is desperate to open every main series box, but also wants to invest in those boxes and have some singles that he loves, what would you recommend to focus on in terms of price development? What should I buy on release? What should I be patient about? Greeting from Germany. His name is Potato Tank. Okay. Great name, Potato Tank. So he's from Germany. So imagine potato. Imagine Panzer Tank, Tiger Tank, World War II. But instead of missiles, they shoot potatoes, like potato cannons. Sweet. I like it. I'll remember his name. Potato gun. Or Potato Tank. I already forgot it. I don't know, man. It sounds like you got a lot of stuff to figure out. Stop. Price points, man. Price points. How much money you got to spend? Andy says, with V-Star boxes getting so much hype, do you think Japanese cards will sustain their value or drop once it dies down? Drop, 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 drop. If V-Star single prices start to increase in the long term as supply starts to hit the market, I'll be relatively surprised. We are definitely seeing some crazy outliers where there are some prices increasing in the short term, but the question was in the long term. And I don't think they will sustain value for long term. Warvet said, what kind of advice would you give someone who would like to make a living outside of Pokemon cards in Europe? What? Oh, making a living, not outside, out of Pokemon cards in Europe. European market is super expensive high. Your best way to make money in Europe with Pokemon cards is get yourself a good contact in the States. Somebody who could ship to you in absolute bulk quantities. Tons of graded stuff, tons of sealed product, and somehow can get all that product to you at relatively cheap prices and then take advantage of that inflated secondary market that exists in Europe. That's the best way to do it. If your average player, he's from, I believe, Norway, or no, not Sweden, Norway, but he talks about it all the time that the normal MSRP price there is like sometimes double what we can pick up product here in the States. So that's how you're going to make money. Cart says, what is your favorite top 3 alt-art card so far? Top 3 alt-art cards. I'd say I like Celebi V from Fusion Strike. I like the Sleepy T from Battle Styles. And I like the Charizard V fighting the Venusaur from Brilliant Stars. Sorry I didn't say Moonbrown. GS5 said, 2 questions. Which cards are actually worth grading? Like, what is the minimum and what can you do best with your bulk, modern, hollow, and reverse hollow bulk? Sell it, hold on to it. It's not really worth anything right now. People are paying less than a penny right now for bulk. Ultra said, what do you think about investing in league battle decks? Some include pretty popular Pokemon like Mew, Pikachu, and Charizard. I picked up a few league battle decks just because they were worth it to grade. So there was the league battle deck that had the 3 Charizard promos, the 2 Cosmic Eclipse, and 1 Unbroken Bonds, or 2 Unbroken Bonds, 1 Cosmic Eclipse. Either way, those things were like easy turn and burns. They were more like a premium, like league battle. But yeah, those are nice. I didn't really keep them for sealed product plays. I did them to turn and burn those. Greg said, what's your opinion on sealed product going forward? Do you think certain sealed product will do better than others compared to Japanese sealed product long term? Yes. Some sealed products will do better than others. No product is made equal. Let's see. Now this is so incredibly hard to answer every one of these. This was my goal tonight, was to answer everyone. If anybody's watching this live after the fact and you're made it to this point in the video, please let me know that if you're enjoying this or if I should never do this again. And again, shout out to Twice Baked Jake for letting me steal his, ask me anything. And he didn't let me steal this, but that's okay. Maybe someday we'll get Jake on this live for an interview. I doubt it. Is an Evolving Skies Master Set worth completing? Sure. See-through scenes. Is it worth committing to grade cards when you leave overseas and it could take 4 to 6 months for them to come back? Yes. What cards from 2022 or Sword and Shield do you think have the best returns, alt-arts, that you grade yourself and get 10s? Are you excited about Scarlet and Violet? I'm always excited about new expansions. So what happens to... So I happen to pull the Moonbrown. Do you think I should sell now while prices are high or hold on to it? Grade it, sell it, and then buy it again. If you really want it, grade it, get a 10, sell it, pick up the raw card, and then keep all that extra money, put it in your pocket. Go out on a nice dinner. I don't care what you do with it. Grade it, sell it, buy it back raw. Do you think this hobby will continue for another 25 years? You bet your ass it's going to continue for another 25 years. Do you think special delivery Charizard will go up in value after 2031? Sealed? Who knows? There's going to be a lot of them. It's going to depend. I think it's going to stay stagnant for a little while. Do you think we are currently in an ultra-modern bubble? Yes and no. Possibly a draft question, but is there a hard and fast rule? What should you sleeve and what should you sleeve and top load? Sleeve? That's gonna be a question you're gonna have to decide. You can make the argument you should sleeve like reverse hollows and up, but then you could say V's and up, and then you can say full arts and up. So, but now top loader. Don't ever buy another top loader ever again. Never buy top loaders. Only ever buy card saver ones. You save yourself that middleman. Not middleman. You save that issue of having to, like, why is everyone writing Magikarp is a cheat code in any Pokemon game? I don't know. Let's see. Big fan of mainly collector of Japanese promos, and he needs a second opinion. Do you think Japanese precious collection box is worth the price? Bro, stop trying to buy these Japanese special collection boxes after the fact. Get yourself a Tenzo account. Dude, these things were print to order, or print to demand. Meaning if you wanted one, you could have got one. Anyone could have got one if they really wanted it. Why do people only ever want stuff when prices are $400 to $500? Why didn't you want it when it was $100 and it was print to demand? I don't get it. Why do you think, how does PSA perceive value? I submitted cards back in October when they were doing the $15 bulk grading, but wasn't sure how the perceived value of the cards would be, so nervous, upcharge for some of the cards. Bro, if you get upcharge for your cards, that's a good thing. That means your cards were pretty expensive and worth it to send. How do they do perceived value? I'm guessing you're saying how do they, determine value of cards? Well, it's going to be on sold listings. But yeah, man, don't worry about it. If you get upcharge, it's usually a good thing. Get an upcharge. It's not a bad thing. Curtis James says, what do you think of all the people invested in modern sale product? Do you think their investment will work out? Some of them will. It's all going to depend on price points. And it's going to depend on time horizons and what kind of returns they're hoping for. Chris said, what's your opinion on 2007 to 2012 tin promos? I like them. Tin promos from those years are pretty beat up, but I do like them. Do you see, every question is Japanese product, Moonbryon, Evolving Skies. Do you see the Moonbryon coming down in price? Yes. How and where do you value prices on Japanese singles? They're going down. As like V-Star Universe cards are going to go down. They can't keep going up, especially because we're going to see more waves of V-Star Universe come really soon. Charlie said, my question would be how to deal with any of the extra bulk filled ETBs. Dude, get a 5-row monster box. Go on Amazon. Get yourself a freaking 5-row monster box. What is the best way to make some of that money spent back? You could sell your bulk. Shout out Mile High Pokemon if he's in the chat. He'll buy your bulk at 0.9 cents per card. How do you go about pricing cards that are really rare without a lot of sales? I have a Pikachu promo that was Scandinavian exclusive, and previous sales range from $800 to $80. You're going to have to do a lot of research on a card like that. I don't know. You're going to have to price it just off of eBay. Or if you want to get a good gauge of it, is price that baby on eBay. Put it super high price. So $800 is the highest end you've ever seen that card sell for. Price that baby at like $1,200 with best offers on, and just see how the market's pricing that card. Maybe get somebody come along and offer you $60, and you'll be like, oh, okay. It's not worth $1,200. But on best offer, and just see what you get. And then if you price that card at $1,200 and it sits there for 3 months and you get 0 offers and nobody's buying it, then maybe that card's not worth $1,200. Drop it down to $1,000 and keep doing that until you find like a nice price for that card. And that's going to be the only way you're really going to price out like super, super, super niche stuff. Or price that card for $1,200, buy it with your second eBay account. Then wait 3 months, sell it with that eBay account, buy it with a different eBay account, and then eventually sell it for $800. All the way down the line when everybody thinks there's fake sales of that. Building Blitz says, do you collect anything outside of Pokemon? Started dipping into Lego recently. Yeah, I collect all kinds of crap. Adam says, is it better to grade sealed, special delivery Charizard, Bidoof, promo, or keep sealed? So if you're going to grade sealed, the only thing is you're going to pay $50 because you got to send it away at the PSA pack grading. You can't send it away like to the regular card grading. So if you send it away to pack grading, that means it's going to cost you $50 to grade those. If that hits a 9, you're going to lose money grading special delivery Charizards. Something to keep in mind. Your opinion on what to PC. He keeps flip-flopping between what he collects and currently only collect Japanese only. Well, that's your mistake right there. Should be collected English, but it is what it is. KB Pokemon said, what's your favorite type of Pokemon card from these options? EX Level X Primes, SL Shinins, EX Full Arts. I like them in exactly the order you have it listed. EX number 1, Level X is number 2, Prime's number 3, SL Shinies, and then EX Full Arts in that order. So, do you see a reprint coming of Evolving Skies? Yeah, I think high likelihood. Might not though, but I think it's high likelihood. Just speculating. But what do you think about V-Star Universe? What do you think about V-Star Universe will be printed more than VMAX Climax? Possible. Do you think V-Star Universe will be like VMAX Climax and have a drop to near rent retail? Yes, I think it will drop once more waves come out, once people move away from the next shiny thing. Right now, everybody is super engaged with VMAX Climax. Or, V-Star Universe. I can't even think of the right names. This is incredibly hard to just rifle through questions. I don't think you guys realize how hard this is. How much of the amount you spend in sealed product comes from in-store purchases? I have a bad habit picking up items in person that I wasn't planning on and I know are cheaper elsewhere because it's tangible and instant. Stop doing that. Be better. You're going to price yourself out of this hobby eventually, or you're just leaving too much money on the table. Hi, Jake. Do you think it's worth to buy Crown Zenith or get V-Star Universe? Crown Zenith, English, all the way. See my bias? When you shop for Pokemon products online on popular sites like Amazon or eBay, how do you determine there are red flags when a seller is trying to get you to buy fake cards? Bro, if it's too real baseline, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. If somebody is selling a raw card as near mint and every single other card they're selling is graded in a PSA slab, except for that one single card they have listed, it's probably too good to be true. If they have a feedback score of 1 or 0, and their account was created in 2022, and they have no other cards for sale except for a Illustrator Pikachu, it's probably too good to be true. Now, online popular sites like, even Amazon, third-party sellers, be careful, man. But look at feedback scores. If it's super high feedback score, good rating, stuff like that, good feedback, old accounts, you're probably relatively safe. What do you think about CGC Perfect 10s? You think it's a good idea to buy perfect grades over regular pristine? Stop buying perfect 10s unless it's vintage stuff. But if you're buying modern stuff, don't. Not worth it. Is it worth it to try and complete master sets? Yes. Why does Larry Terman look like George R.R. Martin? My question is about selling. I have a complete first edition base set, 103 cards, including the Red Cheeks Pikachu. My question is what? So it's, all right, yeah. So base set's 102 card set, but he has 103 because he has a Red Cheeks Pikachu also. So he has both variants of the Pikachu. My question is, what would get me the most money for the set? Selling as a complete set or individually grading all and selling as a complete set? What are your thoughts? Thank you. If your cards are beat to all hell, absolutely destroyed, you could probably sell them as a complete collection, because there's a lot of dumb buyers out there who would just buy it thinking that they're not in bad condition. Only way you do that, you have to take photos of them in binder pages, stuff like that. But if your cards are not beat to all hell and gonna grade actually pretty good, so 8 or better, no, pretty much any of your hollows. So normally you never want to sell as complete sets. You always want to like cannibalize out a product, grade everything, especially like your Charizards and stuff, because you have a complete first edition base set. If your Charizard, your Charizard in a PSA 9, you're looking at like $25,000. In a PSA 10, you're talking greater than $200,000. So there's a lot of money out there. You don't want to get burned selling that baby as a binder collection unless like everything is great in PSA 4s and stuff, and then you get some dumb person come in and way overpay. But normally I would never say. Sterling G said he was convinced PK's name was Jake for the past hour. As everyone knows, I stole this AMA from Twice Baked Jake. Do you think, would you recommend buying or regrading a PSA 5 Moonbreon with no visual defects? Yeah, what's the worst case that's going to happen? You're just going to get a 6 next time. 5 is pretty low, man, for a modern card. You might have a pop 1 right there. That is no visual defects. Yeah, grade it again. I'd love to see. That would be a good regrade. Easy. Do you think Gyarados will get an alt-art anytime soon? It should, and it probably will. Jewel says, complete a master set if you had to make a choice between V-Star Universe and Crown Zenith to complete a master set. Crown Zenith. If you had to buy one card and one sealed item, what would it be? For collecting, investing, thanks. If I had to buy one card and one sealed item, my one sealed item would be a... I don't know. I don't know. As an investment. So you're talking it has to have the highest returns, or is it just what I want? I like to just have Crystal Charizard from Skyridge in a 10 is valued at around like 12,000 right now. Sales are floating between like 12 and 15. And then for a sealed product, I would like to have, let's just do a Skyridge booster box. Why not? So we got the best card in the set with the booster box. But then that's not really an investment. Like, I don't know. I don't see like a lot of possibility for growth in a product like that. It's just, I just want them. Binka said, is it better to buy singles and get them graded or buy slabs that aren't aren't PSA, CGC, etc. and have them regraded? If you're good at looking at condition, then yeah. I don't care what slab it's in. Like, if the condition of the card is truly near mint, like that's the name on the slab doesn't affect the actual condition of the card. All that name on the slab is going to do is affect the price you're going to sell that card for. But I've shown it on my channel. I've sent a lot of cards, cracked them from CGC cards and GMA cards. Got a lot of upgrades. Let's see. How should I go about selling off my seal collection to get the most returns with fees and stuff? It can be tricky. Private listings, eBay. What's the move? Probably eBay. What are safe sealed investments? I'm trying to decide between Pokemon Center ETBs or Booster Box. To use the word safe is always tough, but if you were going to choose between Pokemon Center ETBs or Booster Boxes, I would say go Booster Boxes. When investing in a set, what do you look for? Big chase cards, fan favorite Pokemon, rarity, scarcity, how much of it's on the market, what are people's feelings about it, and has it been printed to all absolute oblivion? Those are all the things I look at. Is the $15 PSA grading right now a good deal, or wait for cheaper? It's a good deal right now. It will probably get cheaper, but it's still a good deal. Is BGS 10 pristine gold labels with subgrades better and make a card worth more in value compared to a PSA 10? Yes. I know someone who actually owns the same. Yeah, it usually does. I'm not a BGS fan, so I value PSA 10s. I do not like give BGS pristines and black labels the huge premiums that other people do. That's just my personal opinion. Is it worth keeping vintage slabs and singles? Sure. Can you rank the collectability of card types in Sword and Shield era? Example, Radiant, Amazing Rare, Rainbows, Full Art, Trainer Galley, Gold, Trainer. Oh my god. What? No, I can't do that. You just... Amazing Rare's at the bottom, Radiant's next, Full Arts, then... No, Trainer Galleries, then Full Arts, then Rainbows, then Golds. I don't even know. I probably missed one. That's too hard of a question. How do you keep the fun in collecting cards when people have so much more than you to spend on the hobby? For me, opening cards is a little nice treat in the end of the week. I don't have a ton of money to spend on it, so when I see these people opening cases upon cases of booster box, I can't help but feel like I'm invalid in the hobby. Listen, we all go through that. The longer you're in the hobby, there's one truth of this hobby above all others. There's always somebody in this hobby that has a bigger, better, nicer collection than you. That cannot affect you whatsoever. All it could do is maybe give you a little bit of motivation, make you want to, grow your collection a little bit more, or maybe grow. Or maybe sometimes you can find a card that is niche that they don't even have. There are some people out there who have absolutely monster major collections, but they are still missing some cards that are relatively low pop or relatively scarce, but they just didn't see it. And if you spend the time, you go down the niches of the niches, you start to find these cards, and you're going to start to find that some people, even with the largest collections in the world, will start to find that some of the cards you own in your personal collection actually make them a little bit jealous because they do not own that card. And that is one of the most beautiful things about this entire hobby. So never let the fact that somebody else has a bigger collection than you ever be a detriment for you in this hobby. Chris said, what are some cool, still cheap promos to collect? I mentioned it earlier, that Pichu Japanese promo. That's pretty cool. And you said cheap promos, Special Delivery Charizard, currently, as of the time of recording this video, is a free promo. If you obviously get $20 worth of product from Pokemon Center, with the caveat of, yeah, I guess you got to buy that code for less than $5 now on eBay. So I will retrace my thing. That is a cheap promo. You spend $5 for the code on eBay. Special Delivery Charizard for a $5 card. That is a cool, still cheap promo, even though it's free. Tyler Sand says, should I open my Evolving Skies Elite Trainer box or keep it sealed? Bro, well, what are you going to open it for? If you want to open 8 packs of Evolving Skies, just go out and buy 8 packs of Evolving Skies. Don't open up your ETB. Is it worth buying 2016 Evolution Charizard for $100? No. Top things a rookie in the hobby needs to know before diving in. Rarity, scarcity, have fun. What do you think about buying Pokemon online or TikTok? TikTok? That sounds stupid. Online? Perfect. Do you think Celebrations will be as good as Generations? You talking price-wise? Celebrations is just, they're different sets, different timelines. I like Celebrations. If you look at it set to set, Celebrations is better than Generations. Price points, Generations is just rare. It's just not as abundant on the market, so. Jared said, I bought the Precious Collection box. Should I keep it sealed or open and grade the promos? Bro, you're going to have to figure that out on your own. That's going to be completely up to you. Encrypted said, which modern set ETB is the best investment in my opinion? The best modern set ETB in my opinion is Pokemon Center Evolving Skies ETBs. What are some vintage and semi-vintage products and sets that are somewhat affordable, a way to get a little bit of nostalgia without necessarily breaking the bank? So vintage and semi-vintage product. So sets, you can go after any set if you're going after raw cards. If you want to go after products, though, for vintage, that you're going to get a little hit of nostalgia but not break the bank, man, that's tough. I mean, there's a lot of like Diamond and Pearl packs and stuff you could pick up between like 70 and 120. They'll give you a little bit of hit of nostalgia, but like that's expensive, man. I don't know. I gotta think about that. Thoughts on Precious Collection Box? Stop asking the same question. Just get a Tenzo account. David said, "Can you make a video? How to submit cards to PSA? They exist. Find them. Just type into Google, or not Google, YouTube. How to submit the PSA. Is it worth it to grade cards now, or just? Oh wait, Daskin first said, what's better, binder or top loader? For greater than $100, no binder, no top loaders. Get Card Saver ones. Get Card Saver ones. Is it worth it to grade cards now or just buy the cards you want that are already graded? It's worth it to grade cards now. Pikachu Fiesta cards. 20th anniversary cards, relatively expensive. There's like two different ones that really come to mind. I like the Pikachu where he's more kind of on his back with the starter Pokemon in the background. I like that Pikachu Fiesta card. Expensive. Very expensive. You know, you're talking probably that card greater than $400 raw. So, do I think Pokemon TCG will ever die off? No. I think we will die before Pokemon dies. Brian said, would getting a card signed by one of the OG voice actors increase a Pokemon card's value? Maybe to somebody, not to me. Sean said, what is the best set to start off for beginners? Base set. Kate, super cheap. Base set unlimited. You can complete the whole set for like, with the exception of the Charizard, you can complete it for like under $100. Yeah, maybe Venusaur, Blastoise might be a little tough, but yeah, say $150. Yeah. Gaming says, what motivates a collector to keep collecting? I don't see much of a point if you aren't doing anything with the cards. Man, if you don't love Pokemon, then you should not be in Pokemon. If either you know, it's something that's like, you either have it or you don't. Bane says, hello, I need help with this. I have a near mint card that was damaged because of a melted elastic on the front. Is there a way to save it? No scalpel, though. I tried another. Yeah, that's tough. You know, I would say, like, melted. So you got a melted elastic band. Like, you must have had, like, a stack of cards, and the best card was on the front. The old elastic, so I'm guessing, like, you got some WotC cards that had, like, a elastic band that melted or just frayed. You could look into some stuff. Like, don't use any, like, harsh acids, like a mineral spirits or an acetone, because you're just going to literally, like, take the ink right off the cards. You're going to have to, like, look around and figure out, like, a very soft solvent. Shout out Rattle Pokemon altering cards. Phoenix A said, best set for collecting and playing. Usually, like, any modern sets, usually, you know. For Lost Origins, they have, who are they? Lost Origins has, what's that card? I can't even remember what the most playable card. But then even with Silver Tempest, the most recent set, like that Lugia Lugia V Star is like kind of a game changer. Somebody tell me down in the chat, what is Rattle's deck? Rattle's deck is from Lost Origins. It has I forget the name of the card. Alan Young says, how can you tell if a booster box first print run or reprint? With the exception of opening that booster box up and seeing some of these booster boxes have like the solid white and the solid green code cards, opposed to like the new code cards with the black borders. That's probably going to be the only way to know. P-Dog said, so I pulled both the Charizard alt and the Umbreon Altar. Is it worth it right now to get them both graded, or should you wait? What are you waiting for, bro? Like, just... you're talking about two super expensive cards. Grading is $15. Zoroark deck. Thank you. So, yeah. Derek and, I don't know how you say his name, Owl Man said Zoroark. Yes. Joshua Ramirez. How do you comment? You cannot comment. I'm literally just looking at Twice Baked Jake's freaking AMA and answering it. You could, Josh, if you got a question, you feel free to write in the chat. I'm almost getting to the bottom of this. What new product are you investing heavily in? Oh, that's a good question. On the ball Pikachus. But that's already over. Like, I'm not buying anymore. That play's done. Those cards are at PSA. We'll see what happens. Joshua Ramirez says, what's my favorite set? Skyridge is my favorite set. And then my most nostalgic set is base set. Jungle Fossil. Johnny Bongo says, will the overloaded market of graded cards meet current or future demand? Will the card market prices go up or down? What is your... Dude, right now, Pokemon is in a position to meet demand. They just bought a Millennium Print Group. They're in a position to meet demand. Now, will prices go up or down in the future? They're probably going to go up. Antonio Martinez says, how do I know if a set is worth collecting or passing on? If you like that set, you buy it. If you don't like that set, you pass. When is it worth grading a card at PSA? I noticed they charge up to $100 sometimes for grading. Dude, if you get upcharged to $100 for your graded card, that card needs to be graded. Pariah Pokemon, West Bragg. I guess he changed his name. West Bragg's a longtime listener. He said, PK, are Topps cards still desirable? If Basic Trainer's in this chat, he will tell you Topps cards are desirable. I personally, I'll make a hard pass on Topps. It's going to take a cold day in hell before I ever likes Topps cards. At least if I ever likes Topps cards in a public. Yeah, Chill Phil said bulk is $15. He thinks you are correct. Chill Phil, bulk is $15. As the Fox Art said, what is the best hard plastic cases for Pokemon cards? Also, are there big card holders for jumbo cards? There are some like big card holders for jumbo cards. They're not like super big though. And then a lot of people would just get like clear plastic sleeves, like kind of you would put in like a 3-ring binder, but they're like clear plastic. They'll put the cards in there. But best hard plastic cases, don't buy hard plastic cases. Card saver ones, that's all you need. Card saver ones are beautiful because it's a one and done. You put a card in a top loader. If you ever want to send that card away for grading, you need to now touch that card a second time, take it out of that top loader, and put it into card saver ones. The less times you have to handle a card, the better, especially expensive cards. Pariah Pokemon said, even the Topps Zards, you're missing out, PK. I'll pass on that. Chill Phil said he started collecting Topps, so there's some nostalgia there for some, but that would be older collectors, yeah. Johnny Bongo said, my question was more like, are regular people going to buy these slabs? Oh, did I read like one of Johnny Bongo's questions? I don't even remember. Rave Deep said, this is really helpful. There is a Discord I'm in where people ask these questions all the time. If you want a good Discord, man, Professor Oak's Discord, Rattle's Discord, especially Rattle's Discord, either one. If you're a new collector or you're just an OG, you've been around forever, you know, there's different types of people in both those. People are super friendly in both those Discords, Professor Oak's and Rattle's. If you have any questions, people are usually more than willing to help. And, you know, the way I look at questions like this is hopefully if you ask a question, you only kind of have to ask the question one time. And one of the things about this hobby, that's one of the most beautiful things about this hobby, is this is a ever growing. You continue to progress in this hobby. You continue to like get better, smarter, more well informed, better all around collector, investor, flipper, scalper, whatever the hell you want to be in this hobby, man. That's on you. But given enough time, you're gonna get better. So Ad Willman said, do special delivery Charizards grade well? Not really. They have like a 30% gem mint 10 rate. So for a modern card, that is super low. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Danzard TCG said, do you just buy 2,000 count of card savers from their site? Yeah, that's exactly what I buy. Eric Castillo said, I have an Altart Garantina, but it's OC and torqued, worth grading. How bad OC? Is it like 9 OC? You know, like, are we talking 70-30 OC? Or, like, 70-30 is not terrible. You're probably just going to get a 9. Are we talking, like, crazy, like it's going to be an OC qualifier, so you're going to get like a 9 OC? Is that how bad it is? Because if it's a 9 OC, like you might want to just consider grading it, because you have weird collectors out there that actually value 9 OC as long as it's like a decent qualifier. All right, let me just, how many more questions? I don't think I can answer any more of these. There's just too many. Oh my god, I keep scrolling. I can't do it. I tried. Oh my god, this would take me all night. We're gonna just, I'll answer the questions in our chats from now on. Let's see. Yeah. Sorry guys. It was a good thought. I actually had a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just too much. But yeah, now we'll start answer. If you guys have any questions in the chat, I could stick around for a few more minutes. We could answer. How long have I been? Oh my god, just going through a handful of those questions from that AMA took 2 hours and 14 minutes. Now I understand why Twice Baked Jake only made a 15-minute video answering like a handful of them. Chill Phil said, got a code for the special delivery Bidoof, and it's so cool. What do you mean you got us? Oh, I got you. You got a code and then you got the special delivery Bidoof. Okay, makes sense. Pokinaz says PK. Shout out to Pokinaz. Fresh Tats says, why is Snorlax so expensive? Are you talking about the gold Snorlax from Chill and Rain? Which Snorlax are you talking about? Old School Pokemon said, gotta stream long enough to beat Basic Trainers live. Oh my god. If you guys are not familiar with Basic Trainer, great guy. Been on a bunch of my lives. He one time streamed for close to 12 hours. He currently has the Pokemon live stream record. I've definitely live streamed for like 6 hours with Rattle and Cool Trainer Ryan, and I want to say I've done it like one other time, but it's a lot. Like you kind of like, or after you're done, you're like, oh my god, that mega live stream where we had all the huge collectors on, that was like pretty close to 6 hour live stream. Let's see. So Fresh Tat says, PK, thoughts on promo cards every ETB? Yeah, so Pokemon released its news about the MSRP increase. They also released the news about like silver border cards too. So we could talk a little bit about that. But his question's asking about promo cards in every ETB. I think it's the right direction because I think people in 2020, 2021, they were really hyped on ETBs. I think there was a lot of collectors out there looking at ETBs like, I never liked ETBs. Like, why does everybody like ETBs so much? Like, it kind of didn't make sense. But now I think that people, 2-year timeline is a decent amount of time in this hobby. I think they're realizing maybe they don't like ETBs as much as they originally thought they liked ETBs. And now I think they're maybe moving a little bit more of the booster box route. And I think prices for ETBs are kind of reflecting that right now. But I think they have that specialty promo in it, especially if it's like an exclusive promo, so only available in the ETB. It's a good direction for Pokemon, and especially going to like 10 packs per ETB opposed to 8. Not terrible. Let's see. Johnny Bongo said, you answered plenty, PK. Good run. Oh, I'm exhausted. Dougie Fresh. What's up, Dougie Fresh? Dougie Fresh, good guy. Long time subscriber. Just asked a question, LOL. How will my complete Sword and Shield promo collection fare? Bro, if you got a complete Sword and Shield promo collection, that is a lot of cards. I don't even know. How many Sword and Shield promos are we up to right now? And there's some... But yeah, it will do okay. I mean, it's a lot of work. You know, like the Bidoof alone. The Bidoof ruins a whole set of how expensive it is just to add the Bidoof, you know, Sword and Shield promo. And then depending on when you got in, like Sword and Shield promo 001. So like the very first Sword and Shield promo came in like the figure collection, Sword and Shield figure collection box. Anyways, that one. Like that one's even expensive itself. I mean, the box itself, I don't even know how much it's selling for right now. So Rav Deep said, the gap between CZ and Scarlet and Violet base set is pretty long. Maybe something will be reprinted in between. Yeah, Pokemon's going to reprint something. It's just the $1 million question is, what are they going to reprint? Are they going to... I would say your two highest likelihood is probably Brilliant Stars, Evolving Skies would be my two highest on the list. Sadly, Brilliant Stars is probably a little bit higher than Evolving Skies, even though Evolving Skies prices are much higher than Brilliant Stars, only because Evolving Skies just got that reprint. So Wagsum said, snag the Precious Collection box from Japan. Sorry for more Japan talk, but is that a sealed hold or a grade on that card? Man, you're going to have to decide. Like, I think you do. So this is that weird thing. I think you do good either way with that product. Me personally, I'd consider selling those cards and flipping it. And yes, you're going to have to pay inflated market prices, but you could probably flip those cards and then pick up that box again and then have some money in the bank. Same thing with like stamp box promos, stuff like that. Pokenas says, buying singles like the 50 packs of Evolvin is okay for long term if it's a good price. Yeah, half current, or we must pick booster boxes right now, not available at good price. My advice to you, man, is if you want to get position, if you want to like acquire positions in products, you gotta acquire your positions in products sooner than later. Like at the time of releases of sets is when you need to be acquiring. That's gonna most historically be like your lowest entry points, at least in the very recent times. Chillphil says, or he's talking to somebody. Raheem says, PK, how do you think they are going to handle having 3 foils every pack in Scarlet Violet, multiple reverses, or something entirely new? It could be if they're like considering like character rare cards, maybe, foils. So now we already have a lot of different like foil textures. We got reverse hollows, we got hollows, textured hollows being like amazing rares, radiant cards. I still just consider those like textured hollows. Then you got full art cards, you got character rare cards or hollows, you got rainbow cards or hollows, you got full art V cards or hollows, you got half art Vs or hollows, you have secret rares or hollows. Like there's so many hollows already existing. I don't know. Maybe we'll just see like character rares in every single set or something like that. I don't know what the third hollow is going to be. I'm guessing they keep reverse hollows and maybe they just add like no more non-hollow rares. So every single rare is a hollow from now on, and then I don't know actually. It's a good question. But I think it's going to be one of those we can't like figure out what it's going to be right now, Raheem, but when we see like the pack in the first one, I feel like the first one's just going to make a ton of sense. Josh Ramirez says, do you think Lost Origins and Silver Tempest made Astro Radiance less popular? Probably. Astro Radiance is not a bad set, but it was never like a love set. Astro Radiance still has character rare subsets going for it, and like any sets with character rares subsets are still positive, but yeah, out of the character rare subset sets, Astro Radiance will probably get looked down the most. And then that conversation, which set is better, like Lost Origins, or is that better than Silver Tempest? Because I'm gonna say like my personal favorite is Brilliant Stars. Dougie Fresh says the World's promo was the pricey one. Oh, okay. So when he's talking about Black Star promos, yeah, the 2022 World's, duh. Yeah, I didn't even think about that one. He's right, though. That would be definitely the most expensive Black Star promo. Let's see. Pariah Pokemon said, PK, are we full up on investment channels yet? They got to the point that some don't even warn that they're not professional financial advisors now. Just everyone knows everything now. This is my point. I am not a financial advisor. If you guys want a financial advisor, go seek financial help. No, I think we just got to the point where like if people can't realize like I'm a geologist and probably shouldn't take financial advice from me, like that's on them, but I'll make the announcement. I'm not a financial advisor. Johnny Bongo says, if their future sets are lackluster mediocre, they'll probably reprint Evolving Skies, Brilliant Stars, maybe. Chill Phil said, "Are you a fan of spec?" Oh, Chill Phil's right. That's probably gonna be what the. He's right. That's probably your third hollow. So you have your hollows obviously, and yeah, they're probably just gonna be hollow energies. So that's the third card. That makes sense. I don't know why. Yeah, just like a Japanese set. That makes total sense. I didn't even think about that real time until Chill Phil mentioned that. But no, Chill Phil's right. With 3 cards being hollows in the future in packs, which Pokemon has now officially said that they're going to do, yes, that third card will probably be a hollow energy. He's correct. So Wes said, PK, why do we have 70 people watching but only 48 likes? I don't know. All right, guys, this was a very long very long live stream. I can't even talk at this point anymore. Oops. I just totally expanded the screen by accident. But yeah, guys, it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And with that said, appreciate every single one of you guys. And I'll catch you on the next video.